Hello, hello, hello. Let me turn down the music and let me get the camera over to me. Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing there today? Had to go get my coffee, get water, go to the bathroom, get all set for you, and I've missed you all so much. I think it's been like 2 weeks. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everything in between and beyond and wherever you are. I'm excited. I haven't seen your guys' art. You guys have been sending me so much on Instagram, Facebook. Well, not Facebook, sorry. Facebook messages via Instagram, Twitter, and everything in between. Let me go up to the top because I always like to say hello. Lorraine, how are you doing there today? Pat, good morning. Cindy, how are you? KR, what's going on, buddy? And Ray. Oh, we got two Rays. We got Ray and Raymond. Hey, what's going on, both of you? And I think I got everybody. Let me scroll down. And it looks like I did. Awesome. Good morning. Hopefully, guys, you got some cool things going on this weekend. Myself, since I'm in Southern California, it's actually somewhat chilly. Mildly chilly outside. It's still, and I'm sure, going to be in the 90s, 95s later on today. I'm going to be doing a lot of painting later on, which has got me really excited. So I've got that to look forward to. Got to work on a project later on today. And then, I don't know. Might just chill. We'll see how warm the weather is. Maybe hit up the pool and whatnot. But like always, we're going to do some of our painting reviews today. I woke up this morning. Thank you guys for sending me messages. I got to see who's here. Go through and grab a couple things. Just wanted to take a moment to chit chat with you. See what you have been working on. Also, if you guys have any particular questions or anything like that, let me know in the chat. And while we get things kind of all set up here, let me grab some images. So who is interested, or who is here that is interested in having an art review, feedback, critique done? Let me know. Let me open up a folder here because I did not get everything kind of preset because it's kind of easier for me to do that with you all here. So let's open this, go to our YouTube reviews. There they go. Cover. Let me open up another window here. Ray, you're interested? Let me see. I remember seeing people send me some on Instagram this morning. So let's get that going for us all. And Cindy too. Okay, let's see who sent me on Instagram. I think it's Smiley Zimmerman. When you send me stuff on Instagram, unfortunately it's Facebook messages, and I don't connect my Facebook to my Instagram, so I can only sometimes see some of them, and I can't reply for whatever dumb reason. It doesn't allow me to. So let's see here. Good morning, Lorraine. Let's see. Cindy, bump. I got one from Cindy. Oh, yeah. Let me pop this big sucker over here. Let me title this. So we got Cindy. There we go. Got yours, Cindy. Then we had Ray. I see Ray's message here. Ray, was yours the one from earlier? The one which is the clouds with the square wooden frame in the center of the canvas? If that's it, let me know, because that's the one I'm going to grab. So that's Ray's. There we go. You sent me a couple on Instagram this morning. Your choice. Let me grab into Pat's. Dude, funny enough, Pat, yours and Cindy's are the same painting. Are you guys painting together now? Are you guys challenging each other? Okay, cool. Thank you, Ray. I grabbed it. You're good. Well, since we have Cindy's is the same painting, it'd be kind of cool to do a compare and contrast. Or see, I'm gonna grab both just for fun so we can all see. So we got we'll call this Pat. Call this Pat 2, but I'll do the other one just so we have something a little different here for the content for today. All right, and then we got Pat. All right, so that's 3. I got a few people in request here too. You were wondering about that? Okay, and let's see. Oh, and I guess the requests are just old things. Okay, cool. Well, we can start there. I got one from Zimmerman too, Smiley. I think those are Lorraine's, right? Because I got one which looks like a mountain with tree line with some soft foothills of grass, broken tree, and a waterfall, and then one with a lightning and unicorn, which is pretty gosh darn impressive there. I'm gonna stop this background music here because it's annoying to me now, because my sexy voice will take care of everything else. So let's take a look here. So let me pull this window over to the side, minimize this. Let's start with Cindy's, because then we can work our way to Pat just to see the comparison, but then we'll do Pat's other one for the actual feedback and review, because I'm sure Pat will actually get a lot of feedback and input for his because he knows what he's done, and then you guys can take a look at it later on as well. So let me pull this open. Let me get my colors here. Just give me uno momento here. Switch that to red. Switch this to a nice little green. Duplicate my layer. And switch over to this camera here for everybody. So this one is going to be Cindy. And Cindy, if you don't mind letting us know, this is a beautiful painting here. What medium you worked in, how long this took you, and I believe you told me it was based off a tutorial, but if you don't mind telling us which tutorial we followed, so that way if other people want to do it, they can give it a shot. But I am loving this one. This is very, very beautiful. Let me increase the size just a tiny bit here for you all. I'm probably going to be blocking some of it, but, you know, just deal with it. So we've got a beautiful, beautiful soft sunset picture here. You could say it could even be sunrise if you wanted to with how soft all the colors are. But I'm going to go with a beautiful sunset because we got more of a silhouette of colors going on. I love the small vignette of colors we have, the beautiful dancing of the bright yellows, the honey colors, the sherbets, all blending into the water, and then the beautiful silhouette of our, to me, soft sand, since I live in California. The soft sand, the nice little path, and then the little, I guess you call these like cattail reeds if you want. I don't know if there's a certain name for it, but I always call them cattails, where they're long grass reeds with little cotton, little Santa Claus balls on the end. It's Oil, A Couple of Hours by Paul Ramson. All right, well, cool. Thank you very much. Well, let's take a look at what we got here. So the very first thing that I notice on this is I love the color combination. The beautiful dancing of, like I said, of the colors work very well here with the soft yellows to soft orange into a very, very extreme soft red. Like almost not even red. It's almost like a darker diluted orange to some degree, which you got dancing on the very, very horizon line here. So this looks beautiful, the combination of colors you did. The blending is extremely smooth and beautiful. And then, like I said, granted, I feel like this is the edge of the canvas, but you got these little accents of, I'm going to go with violet up in the sky, and which dances just a little bit on the water here, which is beautiful because that creates a vignette of color. And it's your job as an artist to direct where you want the eye to go. And you did an extremely good job here, Cindy, because since you put that accent of contrasting color on the outside, it makes our eye focus to the center. Also, the sun helps a lot too because it's the brightest spot, or one of the brightest spots in the picture due to its high brightness level as well as the water reflection. So beautiful job. I almost have nothing to say on your gradients because this is kind of how you want to represent your emotions and feelings of colors that you have on here. So feel free to scatter where you want. The only advice that you possibly could give if you wanted more of an advanced technique, which is maybe what you are wanting, is you want to think about where your light source is. So we know our light source is right here in the middle. Now, we don't want to give you green. Let's give you red. Our light source is right here in the middle. So we know our light is cascading out in this general direction, correct? Correct. So we want to make sure that our corresponding colors work with that. And so you did a really good job because you have your lighter, you have your white, your yellows, then it goes into little oranges, a little bit of red, and then the purple. But if you want to do something a little bit of an advanced technique where you have your dark striations of colors that are orange, like you have right here, right here, right here, 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 and here, you can also put when you do another semi-blending layer, you can put a little bit darker of the orange on the back ends or top end sides of these, depending on where the light is hitting across. And it's going to create a little more depth in your sky. And you can also do the same thing on the front that's closer to the light here. Just put a little bit of that brighter orange on this. And then when you blend together, it's going to have a beautiful natural transition looking like it's that cloud or density of color pockets that's happening in the sky. It's just a little small technique that you can do if you wanted to. You don't have to. It's just something I want you to be aware of. Just giving you a little bit of awesome feedback. Other than that, that's beautiful. I don't think you have to do too much of what you have. The one thing I did notice is if we go up to our horizon line here, I'm going to stroke this so you guys can see. Let's do red so that way it's an easier color for you to see on the stream here. I'm just going to do a 10 pixel stroke. So you can see here, you'll notice that your horizon line is not level. Okay. So if we remove the square, you'll see that when the line goes across, you can see that you have a dipping from right side of your canvas to the left side of your canvas, just like this. You can see that this side is a lot lower, while you maintain pretty straight from center to right, which leads me to believe that you're right-handed when you paint. And this happens to me all the time too, is you'll generally be off on the left-hand side of your canvas, so you have more room for the right side of your hand being on the right. So when you paint, it will naturally pull down and away. So this is why I usually would recommend using tape. I would recommend using painter's tape or masking tape just so you have a nice even horizon line. It doesn't ruin the painting. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys can't see because of my my ugly face here. Where's my camera? There we go. Now let's put it on and off for you guys so you can see. So you see like horizon line off, okay? So what I recommend is using some painter's tape to help you, even if it was with the palette knife or when you're putting on the cascade or reflections. But painter's tape is a nice little leveling tool, or you can use, no joke, you can use a ruler. Just legitimately hold it up to the canvas. Get like a metal ruler, because they're generally thinner. So you can push it up and edge it, and you can just like brush. Tally does this all the time when he paints, and you just go across like that and remove the ruler. And then that way there's only a small little line that you can take like a filbert brush and just blend in to fix up any mistakes that you need. Also, I really recommend if you're nervous, like Pat says, you get the same issues with that, with a little bit of a shaky hand. I noticed, step away from your canvas a little bit and then step in front of it. So that way you can stand straight and have a level eye and paint like this with your knife and or paintbrush if you need to. When you're off to the side here, you're naturally skewing your own vision. And sometimes you do like a little like dip. You throw out your hip a little bit and you throw down your shoulders because you're going like this, and you're naturally pulling down you're pulling towards you and down. And I make this mistake all the time. You'll actually probably see it in my tutorials because I'm trying to stand off to the side so the camera can capture the image, so I'm not blocking anything. So that's all I know I know what I'm talking about, because I make this mistake all the time. So when you can stand in front of your canvas a little bit more, or just do a section, stand back, look, it helps a ton. But you did great. You did great. I would say you probably went a little heavy-handed on the palette knife for my own personal flair of what you have here. But again, that's a personal taste. I would say I think you would have a better rewarding of action of waves if you probably didn't do as many, because you have such beautiful gradients here that it's almost pulling the eye's attention a little too much. But that's a personal feedback. I think you could probably take away like 15-20% of these cut-in marks, and what you could also do is probably gingerly fade a little bit of the back ones here, Cindy. So what I mean by that is each little cut in here, I like to, I don't know if you live near an ocean or a place that has water that gets wave breaks or little white caps from winds. What happens is there's bigger waves and then there's smaller waves. And an easy technique you can do is when you take your palette knife and you cut through your you cut through your white that's going to create your water illusion, is you can have bigger rolls and smaller rolls, light pressure and hard pressure. Both of those will create different densities of the illusion of waves of white caps, okay? And I like to alternate. Or what really happens kind of is waves have a building motion as they come in from out of the ocean. And so generally it'll be, can happen two ways. It can have small waves because there'll be what's called a swell. Excuse me. You'll have small waves that eventually lead into a big wave that comes behind it because that was the big push. Or you'll have a gigantic wave come out of the wave or come out of the water and then smaller waves behind it. So I usually will sometimes do like a big thick line, or I'll do I'll do this. I'll do smaller line with the palette knife, smaller line, leaving gaps in between, and then a big line. So it looks like there's two tiny waves behind it. And then what I like to do is I'll take a brush that I have control with, sometimes a fan brush because I can use like the corners, or a script liner, or a flat, and I'll go behind that little baby curl of a wave and just slightly blend it up towards my horizon line here. So I'll take my brush, oops, go away, I'm trying to teach, because I didn't have the layer on. Let me get rid of this stroke layer for you. I'll take my little baby brush here, and I'll just start blending up towards the horizon like that, ever so slightly. And what it does is it makes look like there's some waves further in the distance out towards the horizon, because since there's less detail in them, it's building more depth. There's a lot of, since there's so much paint on here, it makes the eye feel like there's a lot of big focal point here, which is great because you're doing that for the eye, but it also makes it feel like it's closer in the foreground when it technically isn't. This is midground to technically super, super, super far background. The illusion of the eye is that this horizon line right here is just as far as the sky right here, because it's going off, around the world, the Earth's curvature of the Earth. So I would say probably minimize a little bit of the water lines and then fade a couple of them too to create the illusion of waves that are coming in closer to the shore break. And that's just a simple fade. You can even technically take a 1-inch brush and go up near the top here, Cindy, and just ever so slightly just do some light fade strokes back and forth. And I mean very light. And I think it'll look dope. You live in Florida? Oh my. Near Panama City? Hell yeah. My grandma lived in Florida in Sarasota, which is on the west side, the Gulf side of Florida, and I loved it. You guys have such warm water. I live in California, like the warmest the water gets is like 65. It's fun as hell. But you go to like Florida, it's like jumping into a bathtub. It's so dope. I guess that's a lie. I was going to say, I've never been to the south side of Florida, but that's a lie because I've been to Miami when I went to Peru. Stayed in Miami for like 2 or 3 days, which was super, super fun. Would love to go back, but I'd love to go to like Daytona, all the touristy stuff, but I like touristy stuff. I do well in touristy things. So this is beautiful. I like what you got going on here, Sydney. And then may I just say, I'm just going to get rid of my face real quick. May I just say, I love the illusion that you created here. Wait, I got rid of my anchor, but not my face. So you made it such a simple approach with your painting here that is something that I appreciate, is you created a focal point. Our eye naturally leads to right here. And one of the strong reasons it does that is because on the left and right side, you created, let me switch colors. Why is this not switch? Oh, I switched both to green. Derp to derp, derp. 1 second, I want to give you credit here, so let's give you some, green. You created this beautiful high-rise cascading layer that goes down right to this point, and then you did the same thing on the left, leading down to the right at this exact point right here. Our eyes are generally focusing on where the planes are meeting, and when you're doing that, you're creating a beautiful, beautiful natural vignette out of the landscape. And you did an amazing job right here. And most beginning painters, Cindy, would, make this pretty flat, kind of something like that. And it wouldn't have as much payoff. You made a beautiful, beautiful payoff because we can make a story. Yes, forced perspective. Thank you very much. You basically can make a story like a lot of people follow this path down to the ocean, or perhaps the wind whips up and through this little valley here, pushing all this sand and dirt up on these hills. You get like so much more of an appreciation for the landscape just by a small, simple addition like that. And it is beautifully done. Beautifully done. And I love the path that you carved in here with the white on top of the black. And I can actually see, it might be a little hard for you guys to see on yours, due to the stream and quality, depending on how it is. The different densities of black and white dancing off each other, you get a natural feel that there's, highs and lows. There's valleys and there's peaks. Like I can see like light hitting this little baby spot, but then it doesn't hit this spot, so I imagine that's a valley. Then it hits this plane right here, creating another, rolling hill, if you will. And it's beautifully done. It feels like wind, which happens at a beach, comes up, hits sand, pull it to a peak, and then it drops down behind and creates another little, dune to a degree. So I think you did a fantastic, fantastic job on all of this, Cindy. And then your little cattails, little reeds that you got going on here are just as beautiful. These can be very tough on how they can come across sometimes, but I think you did I was trying to get rid of my camera again so you guys can see the left-hand side. I think you did a good job. Though the thing I think you did extremely well here again, Sydney, is you have your reeds all bending to one side, which is great. You don't have to. I think it pays off because I feel like it gives off the impression that there's wind to some degree. Like there's wind pushing from right to left because these are all bending in one general direction. So that's great. I think on the Bob Ross one that is kind of based off the same thing in like season 1, 2, or 3, he does his where they all bend in towards the center, which is creating more of like that forced perspective, which is great, which could lead to being more of a, calm ocean. But I feel like since we got yours going from right to left, a little bit of wind, and I think just adds a little extra appeal. That's beautiful. I think the only critique I would probably give is it's going to be hard because it's going to pixelate up in here. Let me try to make sure it doesn't get the grid on there. Is when you come down here and you want to create a little bit of grass, I would say use a little bit thinner of a paint. It looks, I know it's hard to see with the pixelation, but I know you will see this in your own painting, Cindy, it looks a little sparse and patchy here. Like there wasn't enough flow off the brush and the paint of what's coming in here. So I would say just fix a little bit of that, and that's just learning the viscosity of the paints. But other than that, this is, I love this. Your birds are great. I love your birds. Your birds are fantastic. Hey, what's up, Hilo? How you doing there this morning, buddy? It's not even visible. It got cut. My hair be cut, dude. I cut off so much hair yesterday. It was my first legitimate haircut since COVID. I've been cutting my own hair for almost 2 years. I grew it out. I love what you did. I think from everything that I've seen, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. If I can't even give any like real strong criticisms because I think it's so simplistic that it makes it so awesome. I love simplicity within a painting. I think it speaks worlds. Everybody can have their own opinion, feel, and vibe, which is so awesome. Like you could, of course, you could add more. You could add different reeds. You could add different types of water reflections in here. You could add a little more highlights because you technically could have stronger highlights near the front of the silhouette because light would be hitting that and then fading away. So you could put little stronger highlights here and then get weaker as you come out to the corners. But those, I don't think you need that, I think it looks beautiful the way that it is. I think, Cindy, this is great. This is fantastic. And the cool thing about this is so many people appreciate this type of painting and love this style of painting that you can do it multiple times in different colors. So you can do, beautiful pinks and baby blues. You can do purples. You can do like strong sunset colors of a desert where it's got like those beautiful banding of reds in there. You can do so many versions of this and everybody will love it because it'll give a different feel and vibe. This is great. I love it, Cindy. You should be super, super proud. And thank you for sharing on that. It's so beautiful to see how amazing your guys' art is increasing. I just noticed that all of my supplies for one of my painting are just sitting there right on the floor. Don't look at that. Don't look at that, my mess. That was a good one. So for a compare and contrast, Pat did the exact same painting that he did, and I'm sure he probably got a lot of good feedback from his that we went over there that he can put on it. But let's just see what Pat's looks in comparison to it. His is a little more bold with colors, where Cindy's was softer. His is a little more vivid, I would say is probably the best way. So let's just take a quick look at his. This isn't the one we're going to review for you, Pat. I want to do that one so that way it feels like we get different, I don't know, approaches for people's techniques here. So I'm going to minimize my face out of the way so that way you guys can see it. So you can see, like, instead of the purple, he went with the blue and then added in a few more clouds, or scratches of clouds, if you will. And then he had the beautiful, his is more vivid with the yellow and oranges of the starburst. And then he had more of a minimalistic horizon with the scratching in of the paints and then the waves that come close. And I actually really, really love your foreground, Pat. So here's like the difference, like I was just saying, like you could add more detail, if you will, to make your foreground stand out. Because look how he has different contrast values. There's brighter contrast with the white in the path here that stands out versus Cindy's right here. And then you can see like way bigger bumps of patches, or you could say like these are dry spots where vegetation didn't grow, that look fantastic. And then the grass reeds that break up all the different plants. Like both are great for their own reason, which is why it's so cool. And we'll probably do this at some point if we ever get big enough to do something like, the hell is this thing doing? There's like something on the top of my stream that's like recording 16-second segments over and over. Hope that didn't close my stream. Anywho, let me get back to the chat here. No, that's not what I wanted. I gotta see my chat window. There we go. So you can see how people can have different approaches and different styles. You can add your own little flair and all that fun stuff, and that's what makes it so amazing. Both are great for their own reason, you know? Hey, what's up, Untitled Channel? How you doing there today? I like yours too, Pat. I like yours too. And it's funny to see, like, you know, how people have different approaches. Like Cindy's took hers with a softer color, allowing the liquid white underneath to play with a more diluted color spectrum. And I think it looks fantastic. And then yours, you have more vivid, bold colors. And you can see, same painting, two different feels. And that's what makes it so awesome. That's why it's fun when people can paint the same thing. And that's why it's fun why you can paint the same thing over and over. Different colors, different contrast values, different vibrancies, different saturations, all give different feels. So nothing wrong with painting the same thing multiple times. Cindy, thank you for letting us take a look at your art. Thank you for sharing. It was beautiful. I can't wait to see what you paint next. And I am so stoked to see how well you're improving. Like, it's impressive. Pretty soon you won't need me anymore. And then it'll be real sad. Okay, let's take a look at Pat's. You're doing well on channel? Or Untitled Channel? Awesome, man. You got any fun plans coming up for the weekend? Or are you just going to chill? Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing there today, buddy? Dude, both are very nice. Extremely nice. It's so fun to see multiple people paint something. If you ever get a chance, if you can ever do like a wine and paint night. I don't know if you guys have any in your location or where you live. A lot of places do them at like wineries or breweries every now and then. If you can ever go to one where it's got, I wouldn't say more advanced people, but people that have painted a good handful of times, it's so cool to see at the end of the class how everybody did their painting. And it's so much fun because you're like, oh yeah, never thought of doing that on that corner. Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, minimalistic over there. I like that. It just opens up your mind, of how to approach so many different things. And that's why I kind of like looking at your guys' art. I learn just as much as you guys do. My way isn't always the right way. I just like to always say like, hey, I would try this, or give you an opinion or direction, and then it's up to you to experiment with it or use it as a guiding point. Hey, what's up, Rob? How you doing there today, man? Can you review my painting, please? We can add it. We've got two in front of you. Members get first dibs, and then we work ourselves onto everybody else. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm here for. How's your day going, by the way, Rob? Your Bob Ross easel arrived yesterday, and you're planning on painting on Sunday. Awesome. Have you already assembled it, or you still have to put it together, channel? Still can't do mountains and trees. I guess I'll stick with seascapes. So here's what I always recommend. And I learned this from when I went on a job interview. And I can't remember what the job was for. Let's just say it was for content manager something. And he asked me, he was like, what do you like to work on? And I was like, oh, I like to work on A, B, and I'm not really a fan of working on C. And he's like, why not C? And I was like, well, to be honest, it's not my strong point, and I really have a good niche on working on A and B. I succeed on it well. And he's like, well, how do you ever expect to be good at C if you never work on C? And I was like, good point. But also, I probably should have put in there, I like to say I don't like doing C as well. And it's true, though. If you don't work on the things you suck at, you're never going to improve. So don't just leave seascapes as a crutch for yourself because they turn out well. You're going to have to always work on doing mountains and trees and foliage and all the things that you suck at, because you're going to have to improve on them by practicing them. And I know, because I still suck at a lot of things too. And then it's like, fuck, dude, I'll just go back and I'll do these because I can always nail these, you know? To submit, Chris, the easiest way to submit is if you can submit me your art on Instagram or Twitter. Instagram, I think, is a little easier for me to grab. If you need to know my links, I believe they're down in the video description. You can go and send it to me there. And if you guys ever get a chance, don't forget to hit me with that nice little follow on Twitter and Instagram. That always helps me and my channel. Costs you nothing. Plus, you get to see some awesome content from me. You're having breakfast right now? I only had 2 eggs this morning, and I'm having some coffee at the moment. So regale me with what you're having for breakfast at the moment. I need to know. Yeah, it's a little confusing at first because essentially I think they only give you pictures, no words, but I'm glad you figured it out. You have to let me know how you enjoy your Bob Ross easel after you paint on it for a little bit. I have one, and I'm like 50-50 on it, like 55-45, I would say. After I made the improvements, it's better, but it's still, I want to get like a full-on anchoring to it to the ground, but I don't know how to do or what I'd want to do that in my little studio. Sometimes you struggle with learning new things, and your visuals turn out to be the most amazing. Well, I try my best. I'm always trying to learn new things. Like right now, I'm trying to learn this new technique for me. I guess the best way to put it is this program's teaching me how to do what's called breakout or breakdown. Technically, the correct term for it is doing cutout, where it's you kind of do like multiple shades on a figure or an element, and then create like a banding of color. It's kind of hard to explain, but then you put all the bands to colors or together and it creates a shape. And I've always wanted to try to learn it. So I kind of got like this program that I'm trying to learn from just for fun. And I tried it last night, and I don't know, it turned out okay, but I can see how I made simple mistakes. Like I should have used different colors of paint to make the layers more standoutable. I know it doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. And then I should have used a thinner brush. I just used one brush to do everything because I was playing around. I'm like, oh man, I should have used a thinner brush. All right, let's take a look at Pat's. So Pat, if you don't mind letting everybody know what medium this is. It looks like it's oil. How long this took you to do, and is this based off anything like a reference photo, a tutorial, something? That way we all can get an idea of, you know, more about you. You pretty much need to drill every leg and arm of Bob Ross easel and then add bolts, washers, nuts. I know. I don't have anything that can like tap and die into like the gauge of metal that I have, but I basically want to do the same thing. Get some washers, get some, I don't know what you call like a flat washer as opposed to like an actual circle one, but I wanted to get flat ones, kind of like L brackets without the L shape, that go up and down, so that way when it meets on the joint part, there would be that little leeway left and right, so that way it wouldn't wiggle as much, because I don't need to pull it apart as a 2-in-1. 2-in-1 easels aren't really necessary in this day and age. Like if you wanted like a 2-in-1, I'd probably just say like, I know it's kind of white first class problem to say, it's like buy 2 easels, buy like a French box easel that you can put on your tabletop or put on, you know, the top of a table if you needed to, and then that way you could also travel with it if you ever needed to. That'd be more of a multitasking one. This is one redo from my very first painting 10 months ago, and it took about 4 to 5 hours, and it's in oil. Thank you, Pat. You had a hot pocket and coffee. That, my friends, I can already tell you so much about your life. I'm thinking strong bachelor. Oh, that's so awesome. Hot pocket and coffee. That's like the college life. It's like just out of college life almost. I'm like, I just graduated, but I'm not making a lot of money, but I'm enjoying life. Alrighty. Let's take a look here. Let's get my ugly mug out of here. So let's see what we got. Let's duplicate this layer really quick so that way I have something to work with. So we've got beautiful blue sky here with our clouds cascading into our mountains that have a little bit of snow on there. Then we got a distant tree line as we go back. And I'm going to say this is probably just a nice giant lake with some calm water with our reflections in here. We got a land mass over to the left and then a nice little foreground land mass over to the right. So let's take a look of how we can help Pat. I'm going to adjust me in my chair. We have hash browns, eggs, bacon toast, and I sent you your artwork on Instagram. Thank you, Rob. Remind me at the end here to grab it because I probably will forget. So that's your job to remind me, and then I will grab it and add it to my folder. Hello there. Can't read the first name and those characters, unfortunately. Where should I send you a picture? Instagram. My Instagram is best, and make sure to hit that follow button. It helps me out. Actually, I should probably get my phone near me. All right, so let's take a look here. I'm going to bring my face back because that's obviously the moneymaker for the women here. So let's start at the beginning. You have a beautiful, beautiful blue sky. I love this blue, but I think the thing that would make it pay off more is by creating a separation between the mountain and what would eventually be your mid-ground. Okay, Pat? So to do that is next time you paint something like this, you need to think about where your horizon lines would be. Okay, I'm going to represent it by this big box here that I'm going to stroke in, okay? Your horizon would be somewhere with inside this box, all right? So if you're going to make it somewhere with inside this box, which you did, you put it right around here, you need to think about your gradient coming down. There's generally more light pollution and refraction of light as it gets to the Earth's crust, okay? Or as the college people would call it, terra firma. So as your light is coming down to Earth, it's going to reflect back up a little bit. And what this causes is to have white. So you should actually be having a little more white around this area, which means when you're cross-stroking in your blue from top here and then working down, your strokes, you should be adding less and less blue as it comes down and comes down and comes down. And then what happens to that is you're going to be making a beautiful and natural gradient, okay? And what that's going to help out with, Pat, is it's going to create a separation layer to make your mountains here stand out against the background. Excuse me. A little hair. Because you can see right now, your blue kind of fades into your mountains and kind of gets lost. Like if we turn this into a grayscale picture, you can see like there's not much separation between the sky and your mountain here. The only reason you have a little bit of separation here is because you left a blob of color, but you can see just underneath it, like right here to right here, it's pretty much the same color value. And that's okay, but in my mind, mountains are an eye grabber, okay? So you should have a little bit of separation to separate it out. All you need to do is just add a little bit of white. So your dissipation of blue should happen right around here as it goes down, and it's going to create separation values between your mountain and your tree line that happens here, and it'll look a little more natural. And I think you're probably just a little heavy-handed when you started out, and that's it. It's a simple thing to fix. Yeah, a little too heavy on the blue. Should have blended it more. And it's easy. So if you ever do this again, Pat, you can fix it in one of two ways. Actually, one of three ways if you wanted to. Take a paper towel, wipe off the bottom, and then just reblend. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. In fact, that might even help you for the thing we're going to talk about next, which would be your mountains and getting paint breaks. When you take that paper towel, you're actually going to be taking the paint that's inside that toothing away, exposing more toothing, so that way when you take your palette knife across, it's going to break easier. Or you can take white paint, very little white paint, like titanium white, and just introduce it here and then paint up, okay? So that way you're introducing wider value into that blue, dissipating into that natural gradient. Or if you wanted a very buttery smooth gradient, depending on the painting you're going for, you can take a little bit of liquid white and do the same thing. Start at the middle line there, and then work your way up, and then take a 2-inch brush and then blend it up again to work off the excess liquidness, okay? Both would work. So we fix the sky. I think your clouds look really, really, really good. This one, not so much. I think at the top of the crowns of all of your clouds look fantastic. The bottoms could be faded out a little bit. So what I would say to you, Pat, is you need to build a little bit more of a body to your cloud. And this is very easy to do, but it's going to take a little bit of practice. With a 1 or 2-inch brush, whatever you feel more comfortable with. I'm going to go full screen here. What I'd like you to do is pretend, let's see how I can do this. Pretend this hand right here is the cloud, okay? I want you to take your 1-inch or 2-inch brush, and I want you to basically come up here and lay your brush almost flat. So it's just hitting with just the front and side of your bristles. I want you to go above your cloud, and gingerly, at like 45-degree angles, just come down across that cloud, okay? So we're gonna go boom, 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 all the way across it, from front to back, or left to right, whatever you want to describe it as. Then, I want you to flip the brush over, because there's gonna be globs of paint now on this side, and go another 45 degrees on the other side, okay? Go boom, boom, boom. What that's gonna do is it's gonna pull the crowns, those thicker layers of paint on top of the cloud, it's gonna pull them slightly down into the body of that cloud. And it's gonna create all these different densities and shapes. So when you take your 1-inch or 2-inch brush and you gingerly fluff the bottom out and then do some cross strokes to work it into the background, it's gonna have different pockets, okay? So that way it looks like more of a natural cloud, all right? Yours just have strong crowns at top, and then it kind of just fades into nothing away. I feel like we could add a little bit more by adding different pockets of density of white and color to make it pay off a little bit more. Now, there's no rhyme or reason to a cloud. I just think it would help pay off a little bit more, and it's something I'd want you to try. So next time you do it, give it a shot and see if you like that technique. Just remember to lay it flat and have a very, very soft touch, okay? Soft, soft, soft. And I think you'll like it because it's going to add more depth in your cloud. It's going to make them look like they're dancing, makes it look like wind is kissing in certain areas, and it's super easy to do. You live in Korea. Oh, hold on. Annyeong haseyo? Oh, Cindy, thank you for the $5 on that super sticker, and I love that little avocado. Annyeong haseyo. That's the only Korean I know. And oh wait. Annyeong. I forget what. Kamsamida? Kamsamida? Does that mean good morning? Or you're welcome? I forget. Crap. Now I'm probably offending people. Thank you so much, Lorraine, for the $5 dono. It's going straight to the new microphone that we're going to get for my videos. That's what we're currently working towards. If you guys want better audio quality out of my videos, hey, feel free if you got a little bit to donate to the Wild Microphone Fund. That's what we're working up to. So, Cindy, thank you so much. You are awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Ad, please. Rob, remind me at the end here, and we'll get you going. All right, let's take a look at back to the painting here, review. So, let's take a look here. So, your mountains aren't bad. However, they feel like they're stenciled in to a degree, okay, Pat? You take your mountain up, and then we got straight down. We got one triangle. Whoops. One triangle. Two triangle. Kind of three triangle here. And then I actually like the dome that you did here, but we're not going to talk about that at the moment. So look, you got three mountains. And I don't know if you ever got a chance here, Pat, to watch the video I did with Alejandra where I teach her to paint. Making triangles really takes away from the natural environment building of the landscape. Generally, nature doesn't grow in straight lines. It can, but it's rare. So what I would recommend is, first of all, I would say try to keep your mountain range at the beginning in just threes, okay? And you'll notice that these two peaks are almost the same height. So let's try breaking it up. If I were you, I would, first of all, this back mountain would be my tallest one. So I would probably take my palette knife and I would come up and bring it like here, and then like bring it down, and let's just say it just fades off, okay? then I would have another one kind of break up in here and pull down and then fade off and away, just like that. And then if you wanted to, you could make like a third, I guess. You don't really need to. Come up and then down and fade off that way. And now you've got all these different planes and mountains that we got, where you can draw on your curved lines for your highlights, coming down and away, and then coming down and away like that. And now we've built a better structure that fills up not only the painting canvas, but it feels more natural for the environment. So I always tell everybody this: try to make some things more easier on you by making it simplistic. Don't try to put in 4, just try to put in 3 basic ones. Think about the heights and how they would have to cascade down. Then draw on your cheat lines, and then pull them down and away. Let me get rid of these lines really quick. So the biggest problem you have right now is you threw in a straight triangle. And if you do a straight triangle, that's fine, because maybe you haven't learned the proper technique. And the thing that I show in that video that you should go check out, Pat, is go back over your triangle. Add a few bumps. Come up and down, have that shaky hand, and then come back up and come back down. And then you can always correct again. And then it's like now you have more of a natural mountain. A lot of people, they'll rush it. They'll go up and then down. And I don't want you to make full triangles. And if you do, triangles are easily correctable. So I would say try that for your next ones that you got going on here, okay? Oh, well, thank you, Chris. Thanks for Chris. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. You can send it to me on Twitter, too. Twitter's just as good. Oh, okay. Untitled. Everybody remind me at the end if everybody that's submitting so I can grab it. Just to let you know, YouTube members get first pick. So I'm working through them first. So now that you've gone up, you have heavy caked on snow. And you know what? This mountain doesn't bother me that much, okay? I can see that you really, really tried to make your paint break. You just have the problem of what I like to call butter on toast. So just like I showed with Alejandra in that one video, is you're coming in with your palette knife too flat. And when you're coming in, you're exposing, let's just say if the ridge of paint was right here. Hold on, let me get to a bigger screen. If my hand was the knife and the roll of paint is on the end, you kind of want to come in like a 15-degree angle, and then as you start to cut down and in, you can start opening up the blade to expose more of the paint. What happens is you're coming in so much that the roll of paint is touching the canvas right away. So when you push, it's just blob, blob, blob. And I can see that. Like, legitimately, I know that's your issue because I've had this my entire life. So if we go back to your painting right here, like I can tell that when you put your knife in here, all the paint is touching right here. All the paint is touching right here. All the paint is touching right here. And then you're just manhandling it down and hoping for the best. Okay? So to fix that, lift your knife a little bit and then start to come down and just let the canvas and the weight of the knife do all the work. And then as you start to come down, dip your elbow, open up your wrist a little bit, and expose more of that roll of paint. Okay? Alejandra, oh, she's my friend. She's actually my neighbor, believe it or not. She like lives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 houses down from me. We always have like these potlucks, and that's like how we met. Like, oh geez, like the beginning of COVID, so like 2 years ago. Oh, I know it, Pat. I've gone through this my whole entire timies. Okay, let's take a look here. So, you actually did really good on your shadow side. So let's keep going through here. Let's power through this. So you did decent on your mountains, but the things we talked about, fixing the triangles and then lifting your knife is going to help create a lot better here. Now, your tree line's not bad. The only problem you had with your tree line is you got a multitude of colors going in here. And that's not a bad thing, but I think you need to stick with one color going across, and then you need to highlight it, okay? So if you look right here, let me switch my colors and switch to brush. Right here, you got one density of colors. Then right here, you have one density of colors. Then right here, you have one density of colors with my face in the way, okay? So just like that. So what you'd probably want to do is choose between the 3 of these here and stick with it. So you would want to make a batch color. It's like, do you want a little more saturation of the green value? Do you want a little more saturation of the darker value? You want a little more saturation of the white value? And make that even as you go across. And then what you can do is take some of that white paint or cloud paint that you want and put it just at the base of your tree. Like, no joke, like scratch it in just like that. And then take your fan brush and pull straight up, and it'll look like it's creating gaps / tree trunks in between. And then you have to think about where your light source is coming from, Pat, which technically I guess is straight down, because you didn't really, well, wait a minute. Yeah, I guess it would be straight down because your highlights on this side and your highlights on this side are actually, but then your highlights over here and highlights over here and highlights over here. So you should have put a little highlight on top of the shadow side here as well, but that's here nor there, just letting you know. So let's just say technically it would be this side. It would be right to left. So you'd want to make your highlights follow the same thing. You have your highlights all in the center. You'd probably want to fade in just ever so slightly a little bit. And you wouldn't want to make your highlight color the same as these colors here. The ones in the background, the ones right here, should be faded more. Should have a little more green in it, so that way it knocks down the value of that color, because it's going to look like it's more in the distance. Since this is a mid-ground element, there shouldn't be as much detail in it. Okay? Yeah, I'm glad to help you out, Nick. That's what I'm here for. If you guys ever have any questions, just let me know. This is why we do the channel reviews, because everybody gets all the information they could ever want at the low, low price of my handsome face and support. Alrighty, so here's where we can see some big struggle bus moves here. Or first, let me get to the water, because that's not a little bit of struggle bus. Did a great job reflecting the trees and the foliage into the water, and then he did a decent job of adding water lines in here. However, the problem you have with your water lines, Pat, is these lines, these lines, these lines, these lines, these lines, and this line, and even this itty bitty line right up here. They're all the same detail value. And you can't tell me that this is the same distance as this. No, these are separated by hundreds of feet, if not almost close to a mile or so, you know? So what you need to do is when you put in these water lines in the mid-ground here, Pat, throw in a couple with your knife, okay? Scratch it in, put paint on top or below your knife, whatever you feel most comfortable with, and then take your fan brush or a 1-inch brush with very, very light touch and just go horizontally across. And what's gonna do, it's gonna fade that white ridge of paint into the background color. And what it does is that eventually it picks up that undertone base of color. It's gonna pick up this green, brown, and blue, and it's gonna fade into the background to where it's not as noticeable, leading to our eye that little white cap, that little wave, that little motion in the water ocean is in the distance. And that's how we're gonna build depth, okay? And then as you get closer, you can start to fade off from your brush and start to pull away, so that way each water line has a little more detail as it gets closer to us, closer to us, closer to us, closer to us, all right? Very easy to do. Just think about that the next time you put water lines in. I'm going to see if I missed anything here. Well, is it okay using the 1-inch or 2-inch brush? Also, for what part? I don't know the name. I'm going to go with, looks like you got like a Minecraft figure or maybe Roblox for your profile picture. Okay, let's keep going. So that's all you got to do for your water. I will say you did a good job with your water lines on this corner, because there's generally more water action as it hits whatever you call it, bluff or cliffside. But then we get on some big struggles here. You got big, huge mud mixing as we work into our foliage. Now, if you're having trouble with mud mixing, here's the best tip I can give you, okay? Simplify your landscape, okay? I would say if I was you, Pat, I would change this. So let's get rid of me, all right? I would not do this mid-land mass. I would entirely change this landscape to fit my skill level. And that's fine for you to do. I would almost take a book from what we had on your first painting, Pat, and from Cindy. Let's just enclose the painting with a frame. So I would just take one bit of landmass, and I would start here, and come down with a plane, and then start here and come down with a plane. So that way we're kind of forcing the eye to look at the mountains, okay? And then you can put one tree here, and then we could put our bushes that we need holding into this landscape area. So that way we can minimize these planes and work on just a few simple bushes and trees in the foreground that'll allow us to be a little heavier handed, all right? Because the biggest problem you're having right now is too many layers and too many colors. But beyond that, I know the reason why you're not having anything stick and you're not having anything work for you on your highlights, your midtones, and your base color for your foliage. You are not using enough pressure for your base, and you're not using enough color, creamy color, for your highlights. You're not using enough paint. And I know that's going to be like, no, I'm using enough paint. No, you're not using the right amount of paint. And the reason I can tell that is because when you're pushing through, you're hitting bare canvas on spots. You're hitting like background bare canvas of your underlying tones. And you need to use more color. You need to load up your paint brush. So when you tap in your next layer, let's just say you're going to put a nice little plane of grass right here. You want to push in a dark green, dark blue green, or whatever you want. Push it into that canvas. And I mean push, okay? And that's going to be your firm, dry paint. Then when you go to add your highlight colors, that's going to sit on top of this to create your bush and your highlights of how the light's coming across it. You need to get a color that's going to be creamier that's loaded into that brush and load it into it. What you're doing is the same thing that I did when I first started painting. You're being stingy on your color. You're being stingy on the amount of oil that you're using, and that's negatively affecting. You think counterintuitively that I only need a little bit of highlight, which requires a little bit of color. And that can be true at times, but when starting out, that's not true because you don't know the correct pressures. You don't know the correct techniques yet. You haven't really broken yourself in to learn everything. So we have to be a little heavier handed. So take your palette with a little bit of, let's just say cadmium yellow with a little bit of liquid white. Do like a 25% mixture and ratio, okay? Mix it up, get it all nice and creamy. It should have some soft whipped peaks right there. Take your 1-inch brush, take it, go through, move it over to the other camera for you. Take it, go through, pull it down into a nice streak. And then as you come down, take your brush and tap it into that base of that color. What should happen is when you pull away, it's going to do two things. It's going to have little peaks that it leaves. If you get little peaks, that means you're going to get little baby peaks, which looks like flowers and foliage on your painting, which is what you want. Number two is when you tap in your brush a little bit, you're allowing the bristles to open up. They're not going to be a big glob, which can happen on certain paintbrushes. When you go through and then tap, you're taking the paint bristles and it's going boop, boop, boop. So now I've got all these thousands and hundreds of hairs. I should have said it the other way. You got all these tens of hundreds of hairs. Now when you push like this onto your canvas, it's going to go boop, and it's going to look like, ooh, highlight leaves, highlight leaves, highlight leaves, highlight leaves. And you're probably going to get like 3 or 4 pushes, and then it's going to be like diluted and you're not getting anything. And you go, okay, now I'm going to go back to my palette and load up again. If you got too much contamination, use a paper towel, wipe some off. Yeah, you're going to waste paint, but you're going to have better results. Wipe some off and go back, go boom, 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 tappa, 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 tappa. Oh, I didn't get any whipped peaks. Let me grab more paint, pull it down in it. All right, tappa, tappa, tappa. Hell yeah, I got whipped peaks. All right, let's do another one. I got my brush. Boom, touch, boom, touch, boom, touch. Stand back, look at that bush. Yeah, this needs a little more curvature over here. Boom. Stop. Don't overdo it. And it only takes just, everybody says it takes a light touch. Yeah, no. It's something that you just eventually feel. Everybody's paint's a little bit different. Everybody's canvas is a little bit different. Sometimes it requires just the softest touch ever, and sometimes you're like literally pushing. Like you'll see a little bounce on the canvas, you know? But that's what you're struggling with at the moment. So I would say right now, stay away from doing things like some rocks, and like some sand bars and stuff like that, these little mud bars that lead into the lake. And let's just work straight on the foliage, Throw in a dark base of color, then work on just only highlighting the bushes, and you can encapsulate it, And you can even do something like the tree. The tree is the same thing. Just put in your dark tree trunk, put on your dark base on top of it, or you can put your dark base of leaves, then a tree trunk. It's really up to you. No rhyme, reason. Either way works, has different appeals. And then just put your highlights on it with the same thing, just with a fan brush this time. But you got a lot of great elements here. We just still have to work on a lot of the basics. The composition is working well for you. We just have to work on building the skills that you're kind of really struggling with. And highlights, I can see the mud mixture is tearing you down a little bit. Hey, what's up, baby? How you doing there today? How's everything going on with you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evenings. I've been doing really well. Been doing a lot of work, which is good for me. You've been down for COVID for the 3rd time. Then I jumped right into remodeling my kitchen and bathroom. Happy to see you live. Well, thank you. Hopefully you have a speedy recovery. I told you, baby, to stop licking those doorknobs. That's the #1 way of getting COVID. Oh, good gosh. I'm glad you're doing better, and hopefully you're fully safe. Alrighty. Pat, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you paint next. I would actually love, Pat, let's go big screen, because Pat's important to me. I would love to see you paint this one again. If you have some free time this weekend, you can repaint this one in like a 1 to 2 hour session, but I want you to be extremely, extremely minimalistic, okay? If you got like a spare canvas, or if you have extra canvas, if canvas isn't the issue, I want you to do this, okay? We're gonna do a power paint session right here. I want you to paint your gradient in, whoops, let's go to the red. I want you to paint your sky into a gradient, and then softly pull it down to right here, leaving white space. Your clouds are fine. Do the same amount of clouds, but remember to build the body by cross-stroking in and building that body. And that's it, okay? Then I want you to do only 2 to 3 mountains. Think about adding the bumps, coming down, just like yonder, and then throw in your little guideline for cheat as you come down and across, okay? Then I want you to pick the value that you want for your trees, and remember where your highlight is coming from, and then just ever so lightly tap it in. Remember to fade in the white of the watermarks, so they're fading out from the back and have more detail as they come forward. Then I do not want you at all to do any of these land masses, all right? We're not doing these. We're going to, just like your last painting, we're going to come in from the outside and create a plane of foliage that goes like this, so that we create a forced perspective. And I want you to work on putting highlights on your bushes and or trees or whatever you want to call it. And that's it. That's all I want you to do. I think that would be a great building block painting to build confidence, and it would be a great lesson for you, because you're going to have something that you can compare and contrast, and all the things that you learned painting this, you're going to be able to pull into that painting you're going to do this weekend or whenever you can, and it's going to be like eye-opening. You're going to go, oh my god, I can understand paint breaks a lot better. Oh, I can see why I shouldn't have made this a triangle, and so forth and so forth and so forth. You know, it's going to be huge for you, and it's going to be really, really good life lesson. Laako. How can I stop mud mixing? It's been really messing me up. If I had a painting to see for your review, it'd probably be a lot easier so I could see what type of mud mixing you're doing. One of the videos that I did on my YouTube channel is how I critiqued one of my own pieces of art. And the last tip I give is how I was mud mixing at the beginning. And I showed you, like, you might be pushing through the bare canvas, you might not have enough paint, you might not have something that's creamy enough. It could be a combination of all those, or 2 or 3 or whatever you want. Generally, for most people when they're starting out, they're not using enough paint. Like, no joke, when you watch a Bob Ross, Bill Alexander, until you get super, super comfortable with how paint works, you got to use a little bit more paint. You got to have a nice texture on your paint, so when you push, something's coming off of your paint, or sorry, off of your brush to stick on your canvas. If you have very little paint, there's no paint in those bristles there to transfer onto your canvas. So what happens is you push, you get nothing, and then you push harder, you get nothing, and you push harder, you get nothing, and eventually it's grabbing paint on the outside of your canvas and pulling it and mixing it together, and you get, you know, the muddy brown. So generally, using more paint of the right viscosity will fix, okay? Alrighty, we have some people here sending some stuff, so thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Pat, for allowing us to take a look at your compare contrast paintings of the same landscape / seascape. And then thank you, Pat, for allowing us to take a look at your art. It was awesome. I have fun, and I'm really, really stoked to see what you paint next. All right, let's take a look at what we got here for who sent me. So I got Rob. Rob sent me one. Oh, Rob sent me two. Ooh, I like the bottom one more. Let's take a look at what I got here. I got that one. Let's see what the other one is. All right, Rob Swift. Let me grab yours. So Rob Swift. There we go. Then I got some in requests here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second while I'm grabbing these. Accept. I got one from Nick. Grab this. There we go. And then one from, where did it just go? Jin, let me grab yours. Let's grab this one. There we go. From Jin. All right, there we go. Cool. Just give me 1 second. I'm just grabbing all this stuff from you guys. All right, Akiyu. So from that one, I just call you Harry. I'm dyslexic, and like I'll see things and I'll be like, oh, there's no name there. So I'll try my best to remember Harry. Or here, you know what I can do? I'll write it on the graphic here. So Harry, that would be easier. Did you miss much? I think we've been live for about an hour. We've gone over 2 reviews. Yeah, an hour and 12 minutes there. How you doing there today? Oh my gosh. Lawson? Is that the easiest way for me to say that name? Alrighty. So let's see. I think we got Ray. Ray, are you still here? Because we can do Ray's next, because Ray's the next member. And then we do YouTube members first, and then we kind of just work our way down. And while you do that, you guys mind if I take like just a minute break? Not even a minute, like 30-second break. I'm gonna go refill my cup of coffee here really quick and get everything rolling for me. So let me just put on a little background music here for you. Let's just get hey, thank you for Nick, thank you for becoming a member, man. I really greatly appreciate that. We'll sing your praises here in a second. Let me see if I can find just some kind of generic thing to put on for you guys. What's Blue Dream? Or wait, let's put on That's What It Takes. No, that's probably a wrong one. Let's see. Something bright. Clean and Dance? Yeah, we'll do Sunset Dream. This one's always fun. All right, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'll put the music up for you guys so you can hear it. And then just give me 1 second. I'm just going to go refill my cup. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Let's turn down the music jams, the slow jams really quick. Get me going over here. Pause that. Oh, Ray had to go to work? Okay. Well, that's alright. Let me give my awesome congratulations to Nick. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member, man. Thank you for supporting my stream. I greatly appreciate the awesomeness that is you. All that right now is working towards, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, is going to a new wireless microphone that I'm trying to get so that way I can get you more better content. Sure, more better. English ain't that good. I'm still working on my coffee here, so. So thank you, Nick. Well, what we'll do, because I like to save mine for Ray when he's here, but we'll just take a look at his really quick so that way you guys can take it. So Ray likes to do like surreal art with a little bit of added like Bob Ross elements in there, if you will, which is why he likes to do our stuff. But his stuff is super fun to look at. So I'll put it here in case he wants to look at the VOD. If you guys ever miss anything, you can always come back here and look at the VOD. So he does some gallery pieces that he's been doing for his show. So I usually comment on the elements that I usually teach, which is like the clouds, landscape elements, stuff like that. If you want to do surreal, abstract, all that stuff, it's a little hard to give a little advice on that. But his clouds have been getting super, super, super good from painting to painting to painting to painting. Real name is Erica. So, but Lassen works. Thank you. Thank you for being like phonetic kind of with it. I always hate it. Like I'm dyslexic. So when I see like letters that are all the same capitalized style or non-capitalized, I'll be like, Lassen a llama? You're like, no, it says lasagna. And I'm like, oh, okay. So thank you, Erica. I appreciate it. I'll try to remember that, but Lawson, I think I'll have an easier time doing it. All right, so for Rob's that we got here, or sorry, Ray's, you can see the clouds that are standing out. So Ray used to have a problem with all of his clouds more or less being diluted. So nothing really stood out. And this was a strong problem with most new painters where you have contamination of your colors, especially with anything blue. Blue is super freaking strong and it'll overtake pretty much every color that touches it. So Ray has learned to separate his values out a lot better from every painting that I've seen him do. I forget what he told me this was called. He gave me a title of it, but I forget at the moment, so I'm sorry. But I love the values that Ray's got going on in here because you can see the separation of blue. You can see all the crowns that are softly forming in here. A little hard to see on camera probably right here, but you can see the different densities of the blue poking through, creating all these different pockets, adding to the values there. And then the separations of planes look super fantastic. I don't know if this cybernetic slash cylinder sphere with a skeletal is either smoking and exhaling, or this toucan bird of head of fire is blowing it in that way. Either way, coolness, coolness, coolness. Cherry Lee, thank you for the love that you give. I appreciate it. Hey, what's up, Brenda? How you doing there today? So I just wanted to show you guys his Ray's really quick before we move on to our next one. But if Ray shows up or comes back from work, be more than happy to put him out the front since YouTube members get first pick. All right, so we had Nick would be next then. So Nick, we're going to do yours, buddy. So Nick, if you're still here, let me know because that way I love doing it here. So that way if you have questions or concerns, you can write them in chat and I can try my best to do it. Also, Pat, thanks for letting me know that Ray went to work. Thanks for being on the ball, buddy. Brenda, how's your day going for you? Hopefully you're having a good morning. Is anybody going to do any painting this weekend? I'm going to be working on some abstract pieces that I need to start. I actually started them last night, working in molding paste. I actually want to maybe go buy a nice bucket of mastic or plaster to start doing some certain things for different elements, for 3D elements. But I went through most of my molding paste last night, so it dried overnight, and I'm going to paint today. So actually I got one that I kind of did. Or if you guys saw the video of the canvas frames. So I'm going to be doing some things more like this. I actually want to do one in metallic turquoise is the color that I purchased. A heather gray and it's like a mixture between bronze and copper. And I'm going to try and make a piece for my bathroom actually. So I'm doing that, and then somebody else wants me to make them another piece. And I'm going to put mixing with glazing gloss to get all these different color transitions of colors for when I blend. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. And it's kind of hard to see. I don't think you guys can see it, but where the white generally is, let's see, where's the biggest one? Right here, right here, right here, right here. Yeah, that's probably the best. That's all molding paste that sticks off the canvas. So it's kind of cool because when you look at it from different angles, it casts shadows onto the other colors. So like a light pink can look like a dark red, you know, which is kind of cool. I love paintings that look different or have different appeals at different times of days. It's always kind of cool. Learning all real names today. My name is Angela. Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna confuse me now. I'm gonna be like, wait, you were Harry, and then Pamela, but we have another person named Pumela, and then we got Angela, and then Angela wants to be Baby, and then Baby wants to be known as Harry. I'm gonna try my best just to go off the username. You like oil painting? It's been easier because of you. Well, good. I'm glad I can help you. That's all I try to do. Like, I'm not a fantastic painter. I just really, really enjoy having my whiskey and wine and painting. And I've been painting for a number of years now that I know that we're all going to make mistakes and we're all going to have issues and we're all going to get depressed along our creative journey. And I've gone through all those peaks and valleys. And what I'm here to do is pave out the peaks and valleys a little bit more so that way you guys can catch up and have fun a little bit more, or so that way things click for you so you don't fall into being like, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not turning out the way I want. Because I think having a creative outlet could be one of the best things that you could ever introduce in your life to the end of your life, whenever that may be. Because it's such a de-stressor in your life. It's such a good way to have something beautiful and expressive and something that's kind of just like yours, you know? Like when you make a piece of art, whether it be painting, whether it be molding or crafting something, whether it be sewing something, whether it be baking or cooking something, whether it be wrenching on a car, having something like that is just like a little piece of you that's super fun, you know? And that's what I try to, I don't know, bring out in you guys with a little bit of fun and naughtiness every now and then. I like to have fun. You're setting up to paint the Black River with Bob today, dude. That's going to be a fun one. You're going to be doing epoxy kitchen countertops this week. I have worked in many epoxies, but never for my kitchen countertops. I've always wanted to try, but I'd be scared that I'd screw it. I don't know why. Oh, yes. Don't even get me started on my Irish whiskeys, old fashions, Manhattans, and all that fun stuff. Well, thank you, Brenda. I appreciate it. All right. Let's grab Sir Nicholas up here. I just like to have fun when I paint. I tried painting something last night, Brenda, in a new style I was talking about earlier on stream, where it's called cutout, where essentially you do, for each layer of a painting, it's its own individual straight color. And then when all the layers come together, it makes a shape. So I was trying to do a figure, and it came out all right, but I'm still trying to figure things out. I learned last night that I should have picked more complementary colors for each layer. I did more contrasting colors thinking that would be cool. It's okay. And then I also learned I should have used a way thinner brush because when I was doing detail things, you couldn't really make out what certain things were. So even I'm still learning, but that's the fun thing with painting sometimes. All right. Nicholas, here we go for you, buddy. Let's get it going. Pat, you're going to work on the Northern Lights? No, you got homework now. You got homework now, dude. You're going to be working on something else. You're going to be working on that same painting. Practice makes perfect. And I like experimenting. That's one of my favorite things with painting, you know? Sometimes I'll try things that I know I'm not going to succeed at, but I have a shit ton of fun playing around with colors, you know? It's like it's the kid in you. Playing around in the mud, you know, getting paint and everywhere and having all that fun. It's so much fun. Now it's just, the only shitty thing now is it costs me money. Nona or Grandma? Oh my god, I can't remember all these names, people. I'm not a smart man, I'm just handsome. You're gonna practice trees this weekend with Bram? Dude, Bram is a great artist. I haven't seen Bram in forever. He's got great tutorials too. I wish he would make a few more, but I think he's busy now. Hey, what's going on, Kim? How's everything going on with you? Hopefully you're doing well today. All right, we're gonna take a look at Nick's So Nick's is what we got here on screen that you guys are currently staring at. And this is a beautiful winterscape. Let me get rid of my face so you guys can take a look here. Let me just duplicate this layer before I forget. Hopefully Nick is still here because we're gonna tear his painting down and build it back up. So we got a great, I'm going to assume this is a limited palette painting. It looks like it's mostly gray or black, grays, and white, but maybe even a little bit of blue here and there. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think it's just straight black, gray, and white. So we got our beautiful sky in here going into our mountain, our very heavy snow mountains here. Got a distant tree line with some foothills of grass and a riverbank covered in snow. Then water as we come down into an element of land with trees, and then that's in the mid-ish ground. And then another element of land and trees in the bottom left. Okay, so let's take a look at how we can help Nick. How was the beach? Beach was super fun. I actually want to go today, but I don't think it's going to be a super warm day today. Or actually, now the sun's starting to come out a little bit. It was overcast this morning, but I have to do a little bit of work. I have to do a little bit of work today. I got a contract project coming in, and then I actually have some super, super exciting news to share with you guys. But I can't share it just yet because I'm waiting on something final to come in. But I want to share it with you guys because you guys were helpful with it and motivating, I should say, and I will share that with you probably later on this week. Just a little short video just to say thank you. It won't be anything cool, but just want to give out the credit where credit is due to all of you guys for helping motivate me. So let's take a look. So Nick, the biggest first problem we have here is when you're going to do a limited palette painting. The biggest word you need to remember is the word contrast, okay? Contrast is what makes your painting stand out when you use a limited palette. Okay, so I'm going to do something with your picture here. Your picture is already black and white, but I'm going to make it even more black and white for you, okay? Just to eliminate everything first, so it's easier for the eye. So just going to, whoops, that's not what I wanted. So we're just going to suck out everything we have here. Now that we've sucked out all the color that is refracting off of the landscape here, you're going to notice that a lot of your landscape doesn't stand out because it's all the same values in certain areas. And that's what's hindering your painting right here. Okay, let's bust out the big old red pen. Let's get back there. So you can see like the value of your sky here is the same value as your cloud side, which is the same, or sorry, the mountain side, same value here, which turns out to be the same value down here, which turns out to be the same value down here. And then you have your darkers, which turn out to be the same values here and here. And this can be fine to some degree, but you want to use these values to create separation by contrast. And one way we're going to do that is by adding more contrast, okay? So if we take our levels here and we bump up the contrast, I'm going to over-exaggerate here for you, but if we bump up the contrast now, so your darkers are dark and your lighters are light, you will see that things start to stand out a little bit more between everything, just like that. So that's with the contrast off and contrast on. You can see how your trees stand out a little bit more, how your mountains and sky have separated. And that's what you have to remember to do, is by building layers with contrast, it's really going to help make your limited palette paintings stand out, okay? So remember that as you go forward for your next painting that you do that's like this. Now, what you also need to remember is, since you're only using a few colors, how you're going to use those colors wisely. And the first thing that you should try to do, not first thing, is kind of think about the landscape a little bit. If this is based off a tutorial, which by the way, I should have asked you, Nick, what medium is this? I'm sure it's oil because it looks like oil. How long did this painting take you? And is it based off anything? A tutorial, a reference photo, something like that. That way everybody in the chat can kind of get a judge of everything. I think that's a very beneficial thing for everybody to know. So what I would do is I would create a vignette. A vignette is a very simple way to start creating contrast and a focal point in a painting. So I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to take my dodge tool, and it's not going to really translate that well here. Or I'm sorry, I'm going to take my burn tool, and I would start to add my darker colors in the corners here, okay? And then fade that down. So that way I'm already starting to create a center point of focalness, but also separating out my planes by light and dark. All right. So I would just do something to the degree of that. I mean, maybe not that strong, but it's easier for me to over exaggerate here on camera for you, so that way you guys can see it at home. You do something as subtle as that, or you do something as intense like that. You should be adding a little more contrast. Also, when you get to the base here, the base of your cloud line, which would be your horizon line, you need to create a little more separation. You have things blending in too much, and this can be done by adding a little more darkerness to your mountains. And your mountain range isn't bad. Actually, I think it's pretty damn good. I just think it's pretty busy for what I would deem maybe a newer-ish painter. And I would probably leave this more minimalistic like we did with the last person, Nick. Like we did for Pat is what I meant to say. So if you want to create a busy mountain ridge, here's what I would probably do. I would create one mountain, bring it up, and come down, okay? There's one, bring a mountain, come down, there's two, and then let's just say bring a mountain and come up, there's three. Then I would throw in my cheat guideline. This side's going to be highlight. This side's going to be shadow, just to illustrate my point. Bring down my guidelines, just like that, so that way you know. And then if you want, you can add like little mountain bumps down in here if you wanted to. But to be honest, I think I would leave your mountain ridge more simplistic. The reason why I would do that is because it looks like you're being extremely heavy-handed on your snow from your palette knife. And the more mountains you make, you're actually narrowing your ridge, so you're having less room to make more fluid motions while you figure out paint breaks, okay? So I would leave it to like 3. And as you can see with my illustration in here, if I remove my face, you're gonna have just as impactfulness with these 3 versus, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish, 9-ish, 10-ish, 11-ish peaks. You just got too many in there, where you could have 3 that you can really hone your skill with your palette knife and paint breaks to make it stand out. All right, I think that would be a little more beneficial for you at the start. Nick wrote, it was a Ross tutorial to start, can't remember which, bits of a limited paletted one. It took about 3 hours, but honestly, half that time was scraping off and repainting the mountains like 4 times. So good. So I'm kind of right on with my assessment of you're making mountains harder for you when you really shouldn't, okay? So I would say minimize your issues with them by simplifying the mountain range into like 3 mountains, okay? So I would say like this mountain like right here is actually really, really good. This bottom one. Oh, sorry, I hit the layer. This bottom one down here looks really, really good. And if you just had 3 simple ones, I think it would pay off hugely, you know? Oops. All right, let's get rid of those mountains. There we go. And then it looks like you're having issues with caking on snow. I can't remember if you were here for the palette knife. I think you were. So it looks like you're probably making the same mistake as Pat is. Well, I'll do this again just really quick, so just to illustrate my point. If anybody ever has a problem with putting on snow on a mountain, I really, really recommend watching that video I did with Alejandra where she's learning to paint for the first time. Most people come in to their canvas. Canvas is my hand. They come in with the palette knife just way flat like this, and then they push, and you've already exposed all the surface area of your knife and the palette, or palette knife, and the paint already on the canvas. And so when you scoop down, you're just smushing butter on toast. So you've just got this big blob of paint. So what do? You're like, oh fuck, I'll try to fix it. You add more and you add more and you add more and you add more, and you're like, nothing's breaking. And now you just got a big glob of paint, of white paint. So it looks like, it doesn't even look like a mountain. It looks like icing just basically just splooged all over your mountaintop. So to fix this, what I need you to do is come in a little higher, which would be more parallel with your canvas, and then touch. Like, you can even wiggle the knife. And then as you start to come down, Nick, as you start to come down, start dropping your elbow, opening up your wrist a little bit to expose more of that knife, and come, and let's see, and come down and across and just gingerly flow. Sometimes the knife will grab things, sometimes the paint will grab things, sometimes it doesn't. But just stay dedicated and just keep going and keep going and keep going. And you'll be amazed. You're like, the teeth of the canvas will eventually start grabbing things. It'll be like paint break, paint break, paint break, paint break, and paint break. And you're like, oh yeah. And then you just drop the knife and expose more of the face of it. And you get these beautiful breaks that come across. So that's all you need to do. I think you just came in hard and went down. And we can fix it. We can fix it. Don't worry. Trust me, it'll help. It'll be a game changer. And what I would probably recommend, Nick, do you have like an actual mixing palette, like one that you hold by chance? If you do, please let me know. But at Wild Creates, yes, I do have a mixing palette. So let's move on here. So I would say the only two bad things that I think that are really bad is your trees. You have extreme mud mixing in here, okay? And I don't mean that they're bad. I mean that they're horrible. I'm just kidding with you. I like to tease people. The problem you're having here is you just got extreme mud mixing going on, okay? The thing I do appreciate is you remember to have lighter values in the back versus your front. Where's my paintbrush at? So like you have lighter values here versus the ones in the foreground and midground here, okay? You don't have a mixing palette. Okay, so what I was gonna say, if you do have a mixing palette, if you ever buy one that goes in your hand, you know, that you hold right here, even I do this. I do this all the time. Even I showed Ollie this when I was showing her. Is you hold it in your hand, pull your paint flat, cut across, just like you see in every Bob Ross tutorial out there on the planet. But you know what's good is sometimes I don't paint for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, or a couple of months at a time. So I lose those motor skills in my hand, or my hand's a little shaky, or it's sore because I've been on the computer all day, you know, whatever reason you want to make up. You've lost that like motion in the hand that you got there. So what I like to do on a clean spot on my palette, sometimes that hand guardrail on the ridge or just on the other side, I'll take my knife, hold it the proper way, and I'll practice like 2 or 3 times on a clean spot. Go down, practice creating the bumps and the breaks, then I scoop it back up, pull it flat back in the white, cut again, go down and through, and I go, okay, 2 or 3 times. All right, now I got the motion back a little bit. So that way when I go up to my painting, and I come down and I go through, I have a little bit more of that motor skill back. I have a little bit more of that mentality, that feel, that confidence. And that helps a lot. People don't feel or don't remember to practice sometimes. You know, it's like if you're going to play golf or you're going to go play baseball, you don't just get into the batter's box. You don't just get into the tee box and just fucking hit it. You're going to be playing a game of whack foot. You're going to whack and go fuck because the ball goes, you know, in a different direction. You take a couple practice swings, you know, get loosened up. And that's what you need to do with your body. Loosen up your body, loosen up the hand, get the feel of things. You don't have to do straight to the canvas, be like, oh, I got to do it now. Take your time. That's the biggest lesson I can teach everyone is take your time. Also drink when you're painting. When you have a little glass of wine, a little glass of whiskey, you feel so much better. You're like, I got this. And then you're like, yeah. Just take your time. Do a couple practice swings, practice strokes, you know? It's fine. You can just I use sometimes the same things with clouds. When I whisk, I'll practice my whisking motion right on my palette. Because if you do it on a clean spot, you just scrape it back up and put it back in the blob of paint, and then you go, okay, through again. Alrighty. So what I would say is do some practice swings, do some practice strokes, if you will, Nick, because you can see here that I can tell you're just going for it. So the reason I can tell that is because of the shape of your trees. Your trees over here on the right are actually, the shape are very good. But the ones that we have here in the center in the back and the ones that my face is covering at the moment, which I'll get to in a little bit, you can tell that you didn't have as much confidence. And I can tell because your trees in the back are the worst, which you obviously did first. But it built you the skills and practice so that way when you did these were way better. Because you can see that your structure, your tree, goes thin to super fat. Where these have a much more narrow build and they look beautiful as they come down and through. Where these right here, it's like thin, wide, fat, you know? You let too much of the bristle get away from you and too much pressure. And that happens, which is why I would say practice as you go through. Slowing down a ton has helped me, or slowing down has helped me a ton. Just need to refine the techniques and stop being stingy with paint. And that's, to be honest, you know what? I do that all the time too. I do it all the time. It's a bad habit to break because when you buy paint, it costs money, you know? And you're like, dude, I don't want to waste all this. But if you use the materials, having the right tool for the job and having the right material for the job, it's going to pay off to look better, you know? And we just have to get over that fear. We have to have the dedication and the confidence to carry forward on it, okay? Let's go back over here. I'm going to move my face for just a second. The landscape that you have going out and through here looks really good. I like the flow and the elements that you got. I would probably, for the background here that you have a couple of trees in front of trees, which is great. That's how you build depth that you got, Nick. Like this tree is in front of this tree here, but to accentuate the depth in it. So next time you throw in your land right here, which is just white paint, take a fan brush that's got a little bit of dry paint and just throw a couple of streaks going down leading into your bank like that. And what that's going to look like is it looks like light is coming down and hitting certain spots of the land. So it's going to create, the red represents the highlight and this green is representing like the shadow side of it. And it's going to look like there's little ridges that go up and down, and it looks like the land has kind of got different mounds of snow that's on it. That's going to look really cool for you, okay? And then same thing, we talked about the trees. You just gotta keep your shapes kind of tight, and then think about where you want snow to fall on it, okay? You didn't do a bad job. For a beginning job, I think you did fairly good. I think you just need to have a firmer paint for your base, which would be your black or dark green black mixture, whatever your mixture was, in there. So really push it into that canvas. Allow it to absorb into that cotton duck material. So that way when you take your mixture of titanium white and liquid white and you get the correct side for your highlights, when you tap in, that paint's gonna grab right onto those tree leaves. And then I've noticed too, you didn't do it so much on your left side as you did on your right, that as you work your way down in that general direction, down in this general direction, if you start to get too much contamination, hey, it's okay to pull away your paintbrush, wipe it off on your palette, wipe it off on a paper towel, reload your brush, and go again. I would say you probably went a little heavy-handed on your snow, which is fine. That's a personal taste. This could have gotten a super huge dump of snow the night before, but I think if you would have put a little more delicate touch on your hand, you would have had these little glistening spots of snow hanging on your branches that would have paid off a little bit more. And then you got a little bit of mud mixture down here. So here's the trick for a beginner that I would say for you, Nick, is as you pull your snowbanks down and across, it is more than okay. In fact, it's actually great that you grab some of the dark color here because there is land underneath there. So when you grab and mix it with the white, okay, you're gonna pull that and it's gonna make like a grayish color here, which is gonna be your bank. Then when you pull that in and then you fade it and then pull down to create the reflections that you need, what I want you to do is then take not the same highlight color as your white snow, but take some of that and mix it with just a little bit of white. So it's just slightly firmer, but not as firm as the base color as the snow bank. And then I just want you to take a fan brush and just come straight on top. And what that's going to do is, again, just like we talked about in the background here, it's going to create highlights on top of your snowbank. So it looks like light is hitting different pockets of that glistening, glittering snow. And it's going to add to the effect of your snowbank. And it's going to cover up a lot of the mistakes of the mud mixing underneath. And it's just a simple technique that essentially just covers up mistakes, which is awesome because we all make them. I think it's because they are too small. I struggle with the far trees, far away trees. The paint barely sticks. In comparison, the size of my brushes seems super tough. Okay, so the good news is, Nick, you answered your own question. Your paint's not sticking. So what does that show? You need to learn the correct viscosity of paint. So you can either introduce liquid clear or liquid white, so that way it fattens up that paint, which means it's going to be a little creamer, which means it's going to fall off your brush a little easier. Or you can use that Gamblin solvent-free gel if you live in the United States. It's widely available everywhere. That's a good technique you can do. Or if you just have your paint thinner, add just a little bit of paint thinner to make that paint a little stickier. And there you go. If you know that your paintbrushes are too big for you, Find a brush that works. Find a brush that works that you feel confident in, or start to experiment on painting with only the corners of a paintbrush so you have more control. And when you do that, generally slowing down is going to help a butt ton, dude. A butt ton. Hey, what's up, Coyote Glitch and King Perry? How you guys all doing there today? So, you answered your own question. Paint's not sticking. How can I make my paint stick? Let me sit and think about this before I continue struggling on the struggle bus here. My paint brushes are too big. What do I have in my toolbox? Okay, if I don't have a tool that can work, maybe I should skip that element and work with something that I can use properly. Don't be chained to following a tutorial to the exact T. Robert, thank you for the love, man. I appreciate it so much. You guys are awesome. What's best, water mixable oils or acrylics? I can't get the hang of acrylics drying darker. Pictures looks okay until it dries. So here's what I would recommend, Graham. If you like using acrylics, or let me ask you this, just to make sure I'm understanding correctly. When you're painting with acrylics, I'll go big screen here because I like Graham. When you're painting with acrylics, Graham, and then those acrylics that you just use within 24 hours when they dry and cure are drying to a lighter consistency, that is bothering you. If that is what you mean, please put yes. Oh, great. Wild creates best hair on YouTube at this very moment in this time slot in this section. That is what I mean. That way I know I'm talking about the right thing. Otherwise, I'm just going to sound like an idiot. I'm not making Bob Ross proud. I'm just helping carrying on a legacy and trying to help promote creative outlets within people. I love being creative. I love it. No, it's drying darker. Ooh. What paint manufacturer are you using? Because you might be using a heavy body paint then. Are you using a heavy body paint, or are you using a heavy pigment grade, like a professional artist grade paint by chance, Graham? All right, let's get back while Graham answers that and I'll move on here. All right, so we talked about the foreground, and then you just have extreme. I'm gonna move my face out of the way for you, Nick. You just have extreme mud mixing down here on the bottom. So here's what I would recommend for you. If you're sucking the big one when it comes to putting on highlights, I would really recommend, if you want to do a wet on wet painting in one sitting, for your base color, it has to be a firmer and drier paint. Martin, thank you for that love, my man. I'll get to that comment in a section. Let me just answer this question for him. A drier and firmer paint that you push into that canvas. And I mean push. Pow, 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 pow. Just like that. And figure out the basic shape of your foliage, okay? Then, on your mixing palette, I want you to take your titanium white and your liquid white and do like a 25 to 50% mixture ratio. And we talked about this earlier. Then, take your mixing palette, pull that mixture down with your 1-inch brush, and then tap and go pop, pop, pop. There should be some whipped peaks. Thank you, Martin. You beautiful, beautiful man. Getting there in a second because I'm trying to get this information out as fast as I can with my beautiful lips and my beautiful hair. You should have whipped peaks that are on your mixing palette, just like that. If you get whipped peaks there, that means you're going to have whipped peaks on your paintbrush. So when you go and push onto that foliage right there, you're going to go boop, and then you're going to go boom. And you're going to get all these little thousands and hundreds of leaves that pop out there. So then you just go pop, pop, pop. You can put a little upward pressure, a little downward pressure. Both have different effects. And you just go pop, pop, pop. Stand back, look at it, go, that's a fucking bush. That looks great. Now when you look at your brush, you're gonna go, oh, now I have all this dark color on here. What do I do? Should I keep going and now create mud mixing? No, you know that's the problem. So go over to your paper towel, your blue paper towels, which I don't have, and just wipe off that side and then go back to that mixture and go boom, 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 pop, pop, pop. Now think about where the next bush would go. Remember to leave separation between light and dark and go pop, pop, pop. Cool. You just figured it out. If you still struggle with that, because you will, everyone will, then Let that dark base color tacky up for 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, and come back to it the next day. So that when you put your highlight color on, you're going to cheat. But it's fine because nobody's going to know. And you just put your highlight color on, it's going to stick so easy. You're going to be like, oh yeah, that's easy. Oh yeah, I'm fucking mastering this. I don't know what Bob Ross was talking about. Just dominated it. And that's going to be one of the easiest things you can do, dude. I would recommend doing that. Alrighty. Martin, thank you. Wow, you made me and my 10-year-old daughter starting to draw and spend quality time together. Your work, painting, and YouTube are appreciated. Greetings from Austria. You are so welcome, Martin. I'm glad that I can help you and your daughter. I hope she is loving to paint. And that is a great thing that you're doing with your daughter. The real question is, Martin, who's the better painter? Is your daughter better, or are you still eking out a little bit more than her? Okay, so Graham said he's been using the Dealer Ronnie System 3. I have not used that paint. So what I would recommend, Graham, is do a little research on that paint, see what that paint is classified as. So generally what happens is paint is made up of generally two things, but we're just going to simplify it out here. It's made out of pigment and it's made out of a binder material, okay? And those are combined together in a paint tube to make a paint and its viscosity and how it sticks and how it dries and how it cures. So generally, the more pigment, the more bolder the color is because there's less binding material. And that's when you have the rating systems that go from like, let's just say hobby-ish to student grade to artist grade to professional grade. And those will have different varieties of pigment and binder. Now, when you get real dark colors, that generally means you have a certain type of pigment, a heavier pigment that is being introduced into that tube or manufacture. So you may want to try a different manufacturer of paint that is not as heavy pigmented that you've been using, or now that you know it's heavier pigmented, I know, weird, you will have to use mediums that lighten up the values of those colors. Now, the cheapest way of doing it is you can add a little bit of white, obviously, to lighten the value as it's going to dry, because you know as it cures, it's going to go to the lighter side of the value. Or you can introduce certain mediums into it that's going to make that paint semi-transparent to a degree, so it won't hold on to that vividness. Coyote Glitch, how do you submit art? Instagram or Twitter is usually the easiest for me. Easiest. Hey, what's up, Whitefire Kingdom? Long time no see. I've been doing well, and how have you been doing? Hopefully got some fun plans for your weekend. Thanks, man, says Martin. As long as I'm spending time together, it's okay. She's getting better than me. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Do you guys do, like, I'm curious, for when you do, like, painting tutorials, do you guys, like, throw something up for, like, the weekend and just be like, all right, you know, daddy-daughter time, let's see who paints, and have, like, a little competition? Because that sounds like that's so much fun. That's so cool. It's so funny when my mom sends me a text message. Oh, nice, Fire Kingdom. What have you been working on for your Twitch channel? Alrighty. Nick, thanks for showing your art, dude. I love it. Just to give everybody a little rehash here. If you ever wanted to repaint this one, if you ever plan on repainting it, by the way, what I would recommend is, like we said, create the vignette in the sky, create the separation between the sky and the mountains, and think about how you're going to use contrast to accentuate your painting. I would minimize your mountain range to only 3 mountains, then work and take consistent time to get the right viscosity of paint and using the right brush, aka the right tool for the job, to create your trees. Think about how you'd add a little bit of highlights to create more depth and density, or depth and characteristics in your painting. And then if you don't feel confident, hey, allow your painting to tacky up before you add your highlights on there, and then boom, you got a great painting, dude. This is great. I love minimalistic paintings, and I love limited paletted paintings as well. So thanks for sharing your art, dude. I greatly appreciate it. That was awesome, and I can't wait to see what you paint next. You miss chilling with me at TwitchCon? Well, guess what? Guess who's gonna be there? You might get your opportunity again. Yeah, you always love Bob Ross. You motivate us to actually start. Well, good. I'm glad I could help you out. And hopefully I made the journey a little easier for you. And hopefully things click a little bit more for you and your daughter. We pick a painting and we just go for it whenever we have time. Dude, that's so awesome. Highly recommend for anybody. Yeah, dude, as your daughter gets older, or like what I do with friends is we'll do like wine and paint nights, you know? Like that's super fun. If you ever want a really good date, like when there's a girl that you like, buying a Bob Ross kit and buying 2 cheap easels, like a little tabletop easel and all the supplies. You need thinner, of course, but you know, let's skip that. Get a bottle of wine, set up a computer or a TV on it like a kitchen table, and of course put some towels down and put on a Bob Ross tutorial or one of mine. Mine are very simplistic depending on what you want to do, and have a painting night, but go slow. Make it a 2-hour, 3-hour thing, and then just switch with the paint brushes. It makes it so fun because you get to look at hers or his, and they get to look at yours. And it's so much fun because you get to see how they paint and you laugh. Make it a fun experience, dude. It is so much fun. And whoever you're dating or trying to date will love it. It's a fun date night. And depending on what your normal date night is, can be cheap. I mean, you're probably looking at spending $100, but where I live in California, dude, you go out on a dinner date, dude, you're spending way more than $100. Yeah, I like Winsor Newton. There's a lot of paints out there that do a fantastic job. I actually like different paints for different jobs or elements in my painting, if that makes sense. Graham, thank you very much. Plus, everyone that is advised, I use the Ronnie because it's made in the UK where I live. Look out for local. Winsor Newton is available in your region or area. I think what other... There's one more UK paint that I know that somebody recommended to me. I'll have to think about it. If you follow me, Graham, on like Instagram or Twitter, if I think about it, I'll make sure to tweet it to you. Because I actually have a lot of UK people that watch me that give me recommendations all the time. Because when I live in the United States, so I get a lot of easy equipment from Canada and within the United States itself. So sometimes I forget that my UK friends, my European friends, my Australian friends don't have access to some of the same things, so they like to let me know something comparable too, which is always great. I appreciate whenever you guys have anything that you use or want to share. I love the tips and tricks that you guys give me. I always try to incorporate. I try my best to give credit where credit is due. Sometimes I like credit because, you know, I'm selfish. But I always try. So, but feel free in any of the comments or DMs, whatever you guys give me. I love what you share. I love what you share. Somebody even shared with me the other day. They're like, "Hey man, I got a great idea for a tip." They're like using a shower curtain, using a shower curtain to protect your possessions around you when you paint, like your table and stuff like that. And I never thought about it for things like that because I use wax paper and I use saran wrap like I gave in one of my tips before. But I have used shower curtain liners, the inside part that the water hits, not the shower curtain cloth side. Shower curtain liners are only like $1 or $2 if you go to your big discount stores, and you just throw those on the ground. I used to use those as tarps because you get something that's like, oh, I don't know, 6 feet by like 7 or 8 feet, and it's like that's way cheaper than a painter's drop cloth. So, and you just line them. The only thing that sucks is if you do like YouTube or something like that, you hear like the crackling, crinkling sometimes. But I was like, hey man, thanks for the tip. I didn't think about covering like my bookshelf or anything like that. Alrighty, who is next up for our review session? Remaining to Whitefire Kingdom to make it more fit with where me and my fiance can stream on the same channel. Oh, that's cool, dude. A family that streams together stays together, dude. Code to glitch, yeah, you can. I believe if you go to the About section of my YouTube channel, which depending on which version of YouTube now, because they're kind of going through a change, it's either below the video player when you click on my name, there will be an About section on the next page, or it's probably over on this side now. When you click on it, something will populate on that side of the window, and you can click on the About section. It's right under there. Alrighty, let's see. I think I got time for at least probably one more, maybe two, depending on how fast we go. So let's see. I have Harry and I got Rob Swift. If there's I do YouTube creators, or not YouTube creators, I do YouTube members first. So if anybody out there is lurking and one of theirs done that's a YouTube member, let me know. I can grab you guys first. Or I'll do between Harry and Rob, one of those two. Nick, you never painted in your life until the past year. I'm having a blast with it, learning it so much and improving pretty much. So, Nick, save your first paintings, dude. Now that you've done it for a year, I hope you hold on to your first, because it's so much fun going back year after year just to see like the progression you did. If not, at least take pictures. At least take pictures so you can be like, oh my God, look at the progression I've made. What up, Rob? How you doing, bud? In Korea, it's hard to find Windsor Noon. All I can see is Alpha and Senya Acrylics, which is the company of art supplies. I'm not familiar with those two brands, but at least you have things that you can get. Do Rob's? Well, we might go with Rob's. We'll see how well we can get through this one. Alrighty, let's pull this up. I like Rob's. Rob, can you let us know how long, or sorry, what medium your painting is in, how long it took you, and is it based off anything like a reference image or tutorial or anything like that? You can't find the email? It should be when you click on my name. So like if you click on, like open up another window, Coyote Glitch, click on Wild Creates, and then when you go to like the main channel where it says like videos, community, something like that, or other, usually the last tab will be about, and it'll say something about best hair on YouTube, best bachelor, multi-millionaire, Batman by day, Bruce Willis by night, you know, all those kind of cool things. And then below that, it'll have like links to all my other social medias and channels, and I think somewhere right around there it'll say contact section or something like that, and it'll have an email address that you just click on and then it shows it. Hey, what's up, Francisco? Have you ever used acrylic paints? Because I want to know how to make warm brown as shadow. Like make a warm brown mixture? I would just use a Van Dyke brown. Which to me, or actually, you know what I would use? I would use a, oh my God, I'm blanking on the name. Burnt sienna. There we go. I would use a burnt sienna, which in comparison with Van Dyke brown is a dark, bold brown, which is a beautiful color. And then burnt sienna is a lighter version of Van Dyke brown. And if you wanted something even warmer than that, I would introduce a little bit of cad yellow into it. Maybe with just the slightest version of like alizarin crimson, so that way it lightens up that yellow into a more orange spectrum, and mix those together. But you only need a little bit of that extra color from the cad and the alizarin into it. But to me, burnt sienna is already a light value and a warmer value of brown. So it would just be that, dude. Oh, still need to do Lorraine's. Wait, I don't have Lorraine's. Or wait, which one? Or do I? Oh, I'm sorry, Lorraine, I do need it. Wait, I thought I grabbed, did I not? Because you sent yours on Instagram, right? Hold on, let me go back here. Going back, my apologies. Oh wait, where did I put that? I did grab it, because I remember I talked about the unicorn. I guess I didn't label it, I have a blank one, okay. Well then, Lorraine, you get to pick. You want me to do the unicorny one, or you want me to do the mountain one with the waterfall? You pick. I'm sorry. Lorraine does get first dibs here because she's a YouTube channel member. My apologies. I'm so sorry. I forgot. I didn't see that. Forgiveness, please. Hey, what's up, Kishi? Hey, Wild, I saw that you got into TwitchCon. Congrats. I hope you have a great time. Thank you. Will you be going this year? I got to start working on everything for that. You just made it up in your head? Dude, I like the layout that we got. We'll get to that. We got to do, I got to do Lorraine's first. Lorraine, you want me to do your unicorny one or the landscape mountain one? Please let me know. Otherwise, I shall just pick myself. Because Ryan's starting to get a little hungry. You were at the Amsterdam Artist Alley. You know what's funny? I've been to Amsterdam once in my life, and I loved it. It was a great spot. I didn't hear too many things about TwitchCon. I know people had a good time, and I'm glad they did. But I was really, really hoping to hear like funny stories about streamers going to the red light district, which I know people did because they had to have because it's so cool. But nothing, really, nothing. No funny stories. No like, hey, big streamer caught here. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. I would have loved to go to the Amsterdam one. I just couldn't find time to do it. So had to save all of my time and energy for the one in San Diego. Oh, I know people were probably there. That's why I'm like, how did none of these stories come out, Guitar? You're telling me none of these stories? One of the coolest spots? Funnest spots? People are going to be drawn to like a moth to the flame? Not one story got out? How are people that are so into drama not like, oh, look who was caught going into this thing? Ba-ba-da-boom. But who cares? I thought this would have been funny. All right, I haven't gotten anything from Lorraine, so I'm going to pick Lorraine's. I'm going to pick the one that is the most landscapey one. So let me grab that. Pull this down and in. Label that. And get this back up. You got any fun plans for the weekend, Guitars? Oh, you want the horse one? Okay, let me get the horse one. I chose wrong then. There we go. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, wait, I gotta rename this. Alrighty, pull this into the Photoshops. 1 second. There we go. A little bit of a smaller image, but we'll make it work for what we got going on here. Alrighty, let's take a look. You just finished my painting for the evening, and now I'm just gonna chill. What'd you work on for today? What kind of painting? Alrighty. Let's get going through this so that way we can get going, because Ryan's starting to get a little hungry. It's just past 11. I usually like to finish these between 11 and 11:30 here. So let's see what we got. Alrighty. So let me duplicate this layer up here really quick for us. All right, so we got a fun, exciting painting here. We've got a stormy night with clouds, some lightning going into our ocean with a water spout / tornado going up into the sky. We got an almighty wave crashing down in here onto our beach. And I thought it was a unicorn when I first saw it, but I can see now that there's no horn. With a mighty steed being spooky-deed by the lightning here. We've got a fun fantasy picture, so this is cool. I like when you guys take painting to the next level. So let's see what we can find to help everyone out. I got the best hair. Just letting you know. All right, let's see what we got here. So we got stormy clouds. So stormy clouds can be tough because there still is a light source that is defined by the moon that is reflecting the sun's light back to Earth. So you got to remember to add in enough color to make your clouds stand out, and you got your lightning spark that's happening at the same time. So the only thing that I think that is kind of hindering is the laying of your clouds that we got here, okay? Lorraine, I don't want to make this too big for you. Let's, the biggest problem I have with the painting is I think you have a nice, let's do red. You have a nice layer of clouds that's kind of like on this plane up here, but then you have some that look like they're almost on the same plane coming down in this way. And it kind of doesn't work with the flow of the painting. I think if you wanted to build clouds that were in multiple planes, let's just say for a really strong structure, these 3 planes right here represented by these 3 lines, you'd want to build different densities of paintings, different density of clouds, okay? So your top layer would have to be your strongest, then your middle layer would have a little more dissipation to it, and your bottom layer would have the most dissipation to it. Right now, they're all the same, which is why the perspective of this water spout seems a little off to me, okay? So learning the perspective of how you'd build your clouds is really going to help. I would say you would probably even be better if you simplified this. I would probably remove this whole bottom layer of clouds, bring your water spout up into here, and then build your clouds around this water spout, and then leave the desolation of the void down up in here. Because what you could do eventually is take your lightning, represented by the green, and scatter it in this general direction, filling up more of the land. Because the void, to me, would be accentuated more by your water spout by having darker areas around here. Wait, my phone's going off. Hold on. Yes. And I'm still streaming. Yeah, but it'll be done in like 20, 30 minutes. Probably go somewhere. All right, bye. Yeah, people just be hitting me up. And I think that would add to a lot of the value. Where's the moon? To me, I don't know where the moon would be. The moon would probably be from like my perspective looking in, because you have all the light around here, but that's up to you to decide where it is. But I think the other thing that kind of hurts the painting a little bit is if we cut this off into a stroke right here. Sure, we'll just make it green. All of this is the same. There's not enough contrast to make this stand out. I think what would really benefit is if we took a little more of the black. If you had more black filled up in here, it would add to the void of the painting and add to the contrast of your lightning, your water spout, and your clouds, and it'd make them pop. And it would look so surreal and beautiful. I think that would help a bunch. I feel like you put down base color here, and then when you're like brushing things in, like your white paint kind of, whoops, that was way big of a brush. Your white paint like came down in here, and then it kind of made it contrasty, if you will. That's a word. It made it milky. It made it milky to where it's not popping enough, and it's really pulling away from your clouds, your water spout, and your lightning to a degree. Okay. Hey, what's up, Rich? How you doing there tonight, man? Or today? It's afternoon. Big fan of yours, Wild. I watch yours and Bob Ross videos on mountains quite a bit recently, and you learned a lot. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. I appreciate it, buddy. How have your painting adventures been going for you? Let me know. Guitar, you did a little sunset and some snowy evergreens. I did one last year and wanted to see the progress. How had your progress progressed? I guess that's the best way of putting it. How did your learning go? How did the progression go? Did things click more? Are you happier? Oh, thank you, Coyote. So I would say adding contrast in here would help a ton. And then Lorraine, what would be a cool little trick is, that I learned from somebody else here, what you want to do for lightning is don't just use white, okay? You want to use a little bit of a color for the base of lightning, like a little bit of like white and yellow, a little bit of white and purple, white and blue, white and red, whatever you want to do, okay? Whatever color accent you want. And I want you to put that in for the lightning that comes down and in, all right? Just like something like that. And then what I learned that looks really cool is then take your white, pure white paint, and then go on top of this in certain sections and add kisses, because lightning has different colors depending on how many like ions or intensity is in there. That's going to be just like the flame of a fire. You know, like how it goes from like yellow, red, blue, or something like that, because the blue is the hottest spot. Well, lightning does that too. So you add little white accents, because that's like the brightest spot that it's blowing out the color, and it becomes an intense white. And that adds a little extra little zinger in there, okay? Or as Bob Ross would say, a little sparkler. And that would help with the electric side of it. I love how you put little highlights here, right where the water hits on the or the lightning hits on the water. I think that looks super cool. I would also probably have my water be brighter on this side and a little darker on this side, because remember, our light source is coming from here to here. Your wave is really, really intense with the curl. It should have a more natural flow up and then down and then fade out in that way. You have too much of a circular pattern right here, which I think you know. Waves form and then come up, okay? They form and then purl. So I think you did a good job. I just think you probably could have that come down and out a little bit more, or come down out and then cave down and crash, okay? And you can accentuate that pull up and curl into there by when you put these little striations. You put beautiful striations, but you got to remember striations got to follow the water. So you got to put a little couple up in here and couple down in here, because now you can see that the water is being pulled. You only added a few dropping straight down in here, but if you can add some that add up into the curl and come down and over and then follow up in the water, it's going to add to the illusion that that water is being sucked in, coming up, and then crashing down. You probably shouldn't have added a crash here. It's kind of, the wave wasn't tall enough to crash. You should have just added more of just the wave shaping up into here. So that, again, you could have created the illusion of the water going into here. And then you kind of made the right move with the inside of the wave. It would be dark because it's nighttime and there'd be not so much. But since you have light cutting down in here, you need to add a little more to the eye up here to allow light to come through to create the illusion of a curl. And then you got beautiful crashes coming down and in and over. And then your wave crash could have came down and through, which is beautiful. And actually love, love, love all the whites that you added up in here into the foam. And I love the dark spots accentuating on the sides here. The only thing I would probably add is your sea foam up in here. You should have carried it a little bit more up into here with some strong white, and then take your fan brush and then pull it back this way. So that way it's gonna make your sand look wetter, as in like different foam sections were washing up on the water, and it would be pulling back towards, so because water comes in and then comes back out, and it would create that illusion. So that's all you need to do is just scratch in some white and then fade it back in, scratch in some white, fade it back in. And it'd be really easy to do. And it's beautiful. Your horse looks great. I can't give any advice on horses because I can't paint horses. I think it looks good. I give you kudos for putting in a little accent of fun stuff in there. But I think just thinking about where your light source is, the contrast of how it is, and then some of the perspective of keeping everything of how it needs to be would pay off a lot. So if you're going to do something, I would consider this a super advanced painting. You have to take your time and think about how every element would interact with every other element. And that can be quite difficult. So take your time. So when you're painting your clouds, you go, okay, where's my light source? Now that I've dedicated my light source, how does that affect all my cloud sections? Now, how does all my cloud sections affect my water spout? How does my water spout affect the water in the laying of the ocean? Now, how does my ocean affect the laying of my wave and how it curls? How does the wave, my curl wave splashing onto my beach, how does it affect the foam and the water lines? Okay, you have to start really, really thinking advanced when you start doing something surreal and on the borderline of fantasy to some degree. Okay, but I love the experimentation of this, and I think it's fantastic. I love it. I think the foam is the best part. I really like these. I love this. I love the thick texture, the lines. I actually like you. It's kind of a shame because your horse distracts from like this right here and this right here. I really, really love, because you got such strong contrast leading to different pockets of density of water that it reflects the colors in different ways, and it looks freaking awesome. Waves are tough, dude. Waves are tough. Because most of the things you paint when you're doing like mountains and trees and bushes are all just different forms of straight lines making up different shapes. But a wave is a curve. It is a curved line, and that can be difficult to get that shape going for you. This is good though, Lorraine. I like what you got here. I love the experimentation that you're doing. I would say just, you'd have to slow down. A painting like this, I shit you not, is a 60 to 80 hour painting, because you're spending so much time to bring out so much subtle detail of how the land and everything interacts. And if you're pumping something like this out in less than 5 hours, it's like you're not doing it enough service to it, because there's so many interactive elements in it. Yeah, that's a good question. Is the horse wet on wet? If it is, that's freaking impressive. I would say maybe it was probably a little tackied up, because you can see like there's what maybe looks like a little dry brushing on the belly, but hard to tell. I don't know. That's a good question. Lorraine, we all need to know. You got us on the edge of your seats. Oh my God, I'm starting to get hungry. Go-go-go-re. And I'm starting to get sweaty. All right, I think I could fit Rob's in here really, really quick. I'll just make it a quick one because I'm starting to get hungry. But we went through all of our YouTube channel members, which I'm super stoked on. And we got to see a lot of the art that everybody was creating. Rob, you still here? I could probably fit you in for just like a really quick 5-10 minute one. All right, yeah, Robbie's still here. Let's pull that up and in. Let me close this. Lorraine, thank you so much for sharing your art. It's beautiful. I love seeing what you guys do. You guys are so fascinating. I love the experimentation. Let me check my emails. I'll make sure that it came through. I did get it. I did get it. If it's what looks like to be spaghetti is the name, pretty much. Unique name there. Alrighty. Let's get Rob's going here. All right, Rob. We're gonna do a nice little power one because I'm hungry. But this will still be a good one for you. So Rob, I think he said his took a couple of hours. It was oil, and it was something that he made up on the fly from his own imagination, I assume. So Rob, this one's for you. Let's switch over here. Take a look at everything. Let's duplicate this layer really quick. We got a colorful painting here. Nice soft sunset, mid-sunset, I would say. Strong yellows fading into the reds and pinks into the blues. We got beautiful cascading mountains coming down with a nice little accent of lights cascading across them. Got a beautiful fence. Looks like it falls off onto a cliffside. Beautiful trees. Our autumny grass, I could say. Nice autumny grass. And then maybe river, maybe pond-ish lake. I'm not really sure. It's a very sectional piece of water here. So let's take a look at what we got going in. All right. So starting with the sky. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, it's hard to critique this one because I'm not really sure, Rob, if you're going for soft and subtle. But if you are, I think you nailed it pretty damn good. You got beautiful honeysuckle yellows coming in from your side. Our light source is way over here to the right as illustrated by the brightness of color. And then it fades naturally into like this beautiful brown yellow to like soft brown yellow to soft pink, maybe even a little violety in there, into blue of what you have. And I think it looks fantastic. And you got very soft and subtle clouds. Now, if you're going for soft and subtle clouds, I think you nailed it. However, you for some reason have darker clouds over where your brightest light source is and brighter highlights over on your left side when those should be darker, okay? You've established that the light is coming from way down here, okay? So we need to make sure that all the clouds are hit by that same element. Now, if you're just starting out painting, forget what I'm saying. This is more advanced, but all of your highlights should be over here from your clouds. And it should be on the bottom side, technically, you know? They should be all wrapping up into here and coming down and across and then fading off into this general direction going that way. Where you have all of your highlights actually on the top of your clouds coming down and crowning, okay? So think about that. Whenever you're painting your clouds, the first question you should ask is, well, how many clouds do I want would be a good question too. But where's my light source? So I know how to highlight and accent my clouds. You established your highlight over here, so all of your highlights should be coming from this general angle. Okay, Rob? Other than that, fantastical. I love your mountain / hillsides that you got. If I was gonna do this, I'd probably not add as many little cracks in here. It's just a little too much. I would probably widen them a little bit by adding like 3, then coming up to the bigger ones, down and across, and then coming through. So that way you can have a little more play with highlight and shadow. So let's just say if you scratched in a cheat line coming in here, you know exactly where your highlight and dancing of colors can come in. So the red's going to illustrate, the light, highlight side. You can figure out where you want to come in and across. But now I've got more room to play, and then the green would highlight the shadow side. Just like that. Boom, boom, boom. So now I've got more room to play with my colors, and I can go back and blend on top and go back and through of what you got. So I would say, normally I tell people like do 3, but I think yours would actually benefit from something like 5. But I think you just added a little few too many. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I think it would just give you a little more wiggle room to play with highlights and play with shadows for everything that you got going on, which allow you to play with more filberts or fans or, angled shaders, swords, daggers, whatever you want. But with bravo, may I say bravo, you did a fantastic job of laying in highlights and shadows on here. You could have done a little bit better job because you sometimes have your highlight on the inside of your valley when it should technically be on the top side of your peak. So just remember that. Always ask yourself, where's my highlight and where's my shadow as it comes down and across? Because you can't flip-flop shadows and peaks, or can't flip-flop highlights with peaks and then flip-flop it to be highlights and shadow / like crevices and cracks. Because then you're breaking your own rule of establishment. So think about where your highlights, midtones, and shadows are going to come across, okay? But I love the fade that you have, and I think you've got a very damn good perspective as it fades over and across just like that. Your land that you separate between your background and your midground here is kind of broken. So I talk about this, if you get a chance, Rob, where I review my own art. It's like a video I came out with last week, I think. It's got a handsome picture of, I think, maybe me in a dark winterscape. So the biggest fault you have in your painting here is curved lines. Your curved lines make your painting look non-natural, okay? So you have your midground separation line coming down, and then it literally curves up. And then you've got these, there's a little hair floating there. You've got this river bank or pond bank, and it goes literally curve motion. Like, look at that. It's just curving. So you have all these curves that look funky, and that's not natural for this landscape to start out with. So what I would do is if you want this landscape to come in like this, that's your choice as an artist. How would I do that? I would tap in. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger for you guys to see. I would tap in a layer that goes like that and a layer that goes like that so they meet. Straight lines. See how straight those are? I know it's hard to see on the side here. Let me move my face a little bit. Straight lines just like that. Oh, whoops, sorry. Got to click back on here. I would not do a curved line because that doesn't add to the naturalness of the landscape. And then you can tap in all these different layers of colors that you're going on here to build in curves. So for example, I'm gonna concentrate right here on this section for you, Rob, okay? Sorry. So I would do a straight line, 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 straight line. These straight lines all represent different tappings of grass in, dark and highlights of it. And now I've naturally made a curve go in here rather than having to paint the curve to a certain extent, Your fence looks great. You have a pretty decent perspective as it goes down across. Remember, since this is fading away, this should get smaller by perspectives standpoints, just like that. And you did a pretty damn good job. I feel like there's a lot of weathering going on in this. You even put in the shadows in there, which is beautiful. Bravo. When you're putting in your water, I would add a couple of water lines in here. For some reason, you left like a white gap, which looks unnatural again. So if you want to have like this white effect, just take your palette knife and scratch in a little white and then fade it out with like a filbert or fan brush, and it'll create a beautiful look for you of like natural water coming in. You have the same issue with your curved lines coming down and in. For this, I would just build, I would do like kind of like a tapping of land and a tapping of land and a tapping of land, and then I would probably cut this off, and that's it. That would just be my grass area, and then I would just form in my heights of what I have. And then this, you try to make these two planes hit. I wouldn't do, or sorry, let me move me again. I wouldn't have these two planes meet. You're trying to make these like one plane, it looks like. What you would do is you would build this plane as one, and then have this plane, oh, wrong tool, come on tool. I would have this plane come up and over and, oh god dang it, that was supposed to be green. There we go. I would have this plane come up and over and cut that. Now I've pushed this land hill in front of this one, so it pushes this back, building more depth in your painting. That's what you want to think about when you're building layers, is how can I build more depth on this 2D image and make it look more 3D? And by adding this little simple plane that cuts through in here, and you would just add highlight on top of this, pushing this layer back would be super, super easy to do. The one thing you did fantastic on, I love your tree, dude. Your tree is fantastic. It looks a little weird how there's like no foliage in between the two. Like whichever tree's in front of whichever tree, it looks like they're almost even. Some branches have to come in front of this tree, or some branches have to come in front of this tree. That's the only thing that is off-putting to this tree, is you literally have all of your foliage on the outside of these two trunks, when some of the foliage should be cutting in front of this one, or some of the foliage should be cutting in front of this one. But the highlights and the colors are fantastic. Look, you got dark reds, modern starburst oranges, and beautiful yellows on top of it, dude. It looks great. It looks great. And then you even add it, oh, sorry, didn't mean to bring my face back. You even added highlights on the bark, but you messed up on where your highlights. Remember, sun is over here, so your sun would be fading in this general direction. So your white highlights would always be on this side, okay? You put them on the opposite side, which I'm sure you can see now. So remember where your highlight and your light source is coming from. You should do the same thing with your highlights on your leaves, just to help out. But I do applaud you. You did something really cool. You messed up on it a little bit. You see how you left this dark shadow spot under here? That is so fucking cool, because if your light was coming, oops, let's get rid of all this. If your light source was up here and coming down and hitting the tree, it would leave shadows underneath, which is really, really cool and really advanced. However, your light source is here pushing this way, so this should be over on this side. So you would want all the shadow side falling off onto this direction. It wouldn't be sitting square underneath it like that. But that is super, super dope and super, super smart that you even thought of that. I wouldn't even do that, because I'd just be like, screw it, no one's going to notice it. But since you put it in there, I noticed it. But you did a lot of cool things here, dude. I love it. I think the biggest thing that you're struggling with is laying land that looks natural for the landscape that you're building and accentuates depth by building layers that work with each other. And the reason that you're struggling with this, Rob, is because, and I know this for a fact, is you're making it up as you go, or you're pulling certain elements from different spots. And so you kind of forget about continuity of things. And it happens with me. I'll build something and then it doesn't go the way I want. So I add in curved lines when I should be building multiple planes that are building on top or building with each other. And it's tough. You missed the shadow on the fence post towards the tree in the background according to the light. Oh yeah, they're going the wrong way too. They're going this way. Good eye. They shouldn't go this way. Again, light source is here. So you are correct. Since our light source is here, shadows should be going this way. Just like that. Boop. Oh, I'm sorry. Just like that. So that makes more sense. So light's here, pushing light this way. All these undertones should be going in that direction. Good eye, good eye. I think I did notice that, but I got distracted by the curved lands because that was more important to me. But good job. Rob, this is a great painting. This is beautiful, dude. This is very beautiful. I think anybody would be happy to have that. But now that we pointed out some simple things, it's going to take your painting to the next level. And I thank you for sharing your beautiful art with us, man. I'm actually super excited to see what you paint next, my friend. What you paint next. I'm very hungry. Very hungry. I had a small breakfast, but every time I do these now, it's just like I don't know how I can do them forever. I think I just got to eat like big breakfasts, but I don't want to wake up super early because I'm lazy. Coyote Glitch, I won't have enough time to get yours today, but I'll leave it in the bank for when we do our next one. I might try to do one this week, actually, since I have projects that I'm going to work on this weekend. I'll have more free time during my week. So if there's a time frame that you think would work for you guys, let me know. Also, if you haven't had a chance yet, follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. Also, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button for this YouTube channel. I always post out when I'll be going live on there. You'll see like the window with my handsome face for art reviews so that way you guys can keep up. Thank you guys for sending all of your art. Makes it so much more fun and interactive. Thank you for chatting all the way through. This is what makes it super fun. And thank you for joining us in today's adventure. And thank you for the brand new members that joined. I think we had Nick join, and we had one more, I believe. Thank you guys for becoming part of my little wild community. And thank you, Martin, for the little $10 dono. And Cindy, I believe, for the $5 donation. I appreciate that. Like I said, all donations are going right to that microphone down there. Trying to work it. We're almost there, 53% of the way. We got a 47%. Math is paying off, college education. So we're going to be working towards that. I launched 2 videos today. They were just fun videos for me to have to share with you guys. One's like more of a little vlog style where I share the history of Dana Point, and then I take one of those pictures from Dana Point and turn it into an abstract art piece that you can take a look at. Super fun. Coyote Glitch, thank you for that love. I appreciate you. And then I don't know what's coming up in the hopper for our next video. Always looking for suggestions, but I'm gonna go eat. Thank you all for being such badasses on here. Can't wait to see what you paint. Feel free to always share with me on Instagram or Twitter what you guys are working on. And I will see you guys later on, probably this week, so stay tuned. Take care, and as always, peace. Have a good one, y'all.